Hi, this is Hans, the resident alpha male, and welcome to the Resident State Podcast. We are continuing our fascinating journey into the macabre world of hypnosis, psychotronic mind control, embedded hypnotic commands, programmed assassins, and just a bunch of weird dudes wearing loafers. Hanging out with their buddies like Clive. So, anyways, we're going to just dive into this document. I am joined, of course, by Mr. Sean McCann, host of Wake the Dead. I think that would that be zombie though if you wake the dead? Okay. Anyways, no zombies.
Well, the people are zombies first. We're trying to make them normal
Oh,
again.
okay.
That's how it works over
All right, dude.
here.
And Mr. William Ramsey, one of the most prolific and excellent researchers out there. And Sean is also just a great dude, and
Thanks, man.
he's not stalked me yet. So when someone doesn't stalk me, I give him a thumbs up. So, but I am just everybody sees I'm about to drink some bright blue tea. Let's see what happens. Okay, all right. That's all for me.
Yeah, that's the Bene Gesserit gave you that, right? So, William, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us again. This is like an amazing. It's just unfolding and it's going further. And I'm excited to see where we bring it today. Thank you for joining us.
It's really incredible. I was doing more research over the holidays. Hope everybody had a great holiday, including both of you. But more about Esther Brooks and stuff. He's a much more interesting character and kind of ties into the kind of the stuff that we've done in the past, the mind control themes and Eyes Wide Shut and cybernetics and the Macy conferences that Hans and I have talked about. But like Hoban Estabrooks, George Hoban Estabrooks, is like he was one of the first paranormal investigators. So he was doing. I found this out about him.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll bring that up. I'll have some new research, but he was one of the first guys. If you remember those tests where they would do ESP tests with those cards with the diamonds and squares.
Yes. Yeah, that
He's
was featured in Ghostbusters. In the beginning, he was using those cards to test the psychic ability of the female. And those were used in the GATE program for kids when they were trying to test kids' psychic abilities. And that goes into this too. If you wanted, like, they were testing kids to be using them in the in the SRA type stuff and the, super soldier training, they would find the kids amongst the population and with these tests.
I'm glad you said that because Esther Brooks is a eugenicist too. So he's right in there with the eugenics movement.
Jesus,
Generations of idiots. He's saying this in public, all this stuff. So
wow.
he's much more, many more facets to his character than even in this document or some of his other books. And the other thing that we've talked about, a theme, and definitely Hans and I have talked about, is this whole idea of the mechanical man. And he wrote a book that was published. I could not find a copy of it anywhere, a PDF called Man, the Mechanical Misfit. So if anybody can find that, send me a copy of that. His books are really hard to find, but they're really important. I download a new one of his too, which is The Future of the Mind, which is kind of his later book in the 70s. And he's a really interesting guy. And the other thing is, like, he's like these other doctors like Esther Brooks or West, where externally they are, high members of society or whatever, or, working at these colleges, but they have a darker side. And we see that in this document, obviously. But Esther Brooks is like that too. So it's
one
another
thing.
thing.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but one thing to note there is like, we look at these guys. So a lot of these guys were rehabilitated in the 70s, right? As, for example, we're Milton Erickson, right? I mean, this guy is just good luck beside, finding out any of this hidden stuff and this it goes across the board. And one other thing I just think is interesting, and one of the founders of the whole brain neuroscience, whatever, Walter Penfield, right? So he's someone, and he had, like, the box and all these kind of crazy sensory deprivation things, but he came to the conclusion. He says that the mind, you don't do mathematics in a seizure, right? So what does that mean? It means that the brain is not the seat of consciousness per se. It's not, at least, the seat of higher consciousness, of reason, ethics, morality. So just to throw this out there, I mean, there's so much emphasis, brain, oh, brain, brain. Well, a lot of this stuff, like Pavlov and all these guys, they were neurophysiologists. They're physiologists. They're working on the adrenal system, right? They're working on the chemical architecture and networking. Once you have that controlled, you can lay all kinds of intellectual mappings on it, but right. So and maybe going a little too far afield, but one of the things I think with COVID, I think you see that there's something that is intangible that they're trying to capture and control. That's not just the brain, right? There's not, I mean, pretty much proven. I mean, there's people literally who have all they have is one like little micro layer of brain cells. The rest of their brain is filled with water. And some of these people have high paying careers and they function perfectly fine. They have almost no physical brain. It is not explainable by basic organic theory. So just, putting that out there, that I think that's one of those things that's kind of been obscured, and they kind of want everyone to think it's all about the brain. Just take Prozac, and you won't be depressed. You'll just be a school shooter. That's okay. So I mean, there's a lot of obscuration, and then again, as this gets more embedded in the society, they're kind of doing a little bit of a cleanup operation. And like Aldous Huxley, right? How many people think of him as this great truth teller and this wonderful dude? Well, if you look at everything, if you take what he says and remove that valencing that he's there to help people, which he's not, right? He's connected with, he was a protege of H.G. Wells, Fabian, etc. So it's right there, right? And it's the way it is, I guess.
Yeah, like I mean, you got to have ears to hear and eyes to see. He says the same words, and the two different audiences hear two different things. To the George Wallace or whatever, the 60 Minutes interview. Oh, look, this guy's a hero. He's telling us about the way better be careful about the future. And really, he tells us how the future is going to be, the reality of it. Like the beginning segment of that book, A Brave New World, is what we're learning here. This whole document is how to pattern a brain to create a person that is a slave robot. That's what their whole society was structured as. And I look forward to talking about that one next. I think we should do that one next. But in any case, the mechanical science is like revealing what it is that they're studying and what's the truth of what they're doing. And then at the end, he slaps on a little, oh, Shakespeare. Oh, look at the tragedy. Oh, and like turn a story into it. But really, it's like, this is the truth. This is what we're doing. This revelation of the method with their whole, mens rea. They have to say what they're doing so that they don't have the karmic results of it. And these other higher laws that they're working with in their magic system, they have to tell us, but they have to wrap it in this package to make it seem like, I'm helping you. I'm giving you this gift of the future. When George Orwell was like, this is scary, guys, be afraid, but for some reason, Huxley was a hero, and like, look how this pretty thing he's created for us. Look, don't we have to look forward to? We get to go to the Feelies and we get to chew gum, and like that, has all kinds of weird drugs in it and stuff. Like we get to have soma every day and not feel, and everybody belongs to everybody. And like, what is that? That's the kind of, like, you will own nothing. You will, everybody is for everybody. Like that's the way that they were pushing the sex and the pills and stuff. And the birth control pill was essential to the story. This story wouldn't be a story if it wasn't a birth control problem. Oh no, she forgot her pills. She doesn't have pills. And then this wild baby gets born, like, and everybody hates the wild thing. Like it just everything, all the layers of that book is total mind control. And how, like he's saying, how could they frame him as a hero? I mean, the guy couldn't even wash properly. He had like poop under his fingernails. Like, I mean, he's not a hero. Anyway, sorry, I'll stop. I got to calm down. I only had one coffee today.
He might have lost his eyesight from inbreeding because his family tree was so inbred that it caused like degeneracy, or like he had inherited traits that weren't good, which plays into this. So one of you guys have the energy to read the blurb here for Esther Brooks's Man, the Mechanical Misfit? Can you read that?
I would love to.
Okay.
And by the way, I've got comments, multiple comments that my mic has been too low. It seems okay to me, but what do you guys think?
Sounds good to me. There's a really good comment here too. Sorry to interrupt, but Johnny Sumatra says, Do you guys have any detailed info on David Chase's new TV series? He's going to do something on MK Ultra. I'm getting the feeling like some of the stuff we've talked about are going to be inculcated. Have you guys heard anything about that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I'll try to bring it up.
Most TV is so dismal now. It's just like, but there are a couple. Just before we just dive into this, and I'll read this. Okay, I'll bring up these points after I read it. So, Man, the Mechanical Misfit by G.H. Esterbrooks. Is humanity doomed to extinction? Some 400 million years ago, the great sea scorpion held undisputed sway over the world. Later, dinosaurs ruled. 20 million ago, 20 million years ago, it was the thunder beast. And now man has his turn. How long will it last? Dr. Esterbrooks points out that natural selection is becoming less and less effective in mankind. Ooh, that's bad news, huh? We gotta speed it up. We gotta help it out. Okay. Of the many forms of life, human beings and domestic animals alone breed back into the species traits unfit for survival. Really? Thanks, George. Science keeps our weaklings alive to propagate their weakness at the expense of the whole human race. As a result of modern civilization, the individual as well as the race degenerates. Man's upright skeleton, a curiosity in all the mammalian world, shows definite evidence of deterioration. The sympathetic nervous system, an absolute necessity to all other vertebrates, is a curse to man. Really? Okay, it's a curse to man if you start screwing around with it, George. Okay. Anyways, that's a intense sentence.
These are really profound statements. Yeah, they're amazing.
I mean, full-on eugenics.
I'm going to write that down and research that because, the sympathetic. Okay, so sympathetic actually. The parasympathetic is where you're going to have, basically, these used to be described as, your arousal, non-arousal, right? Wake, sleep. And this is one of the things you look at some of the early sort of music mind control research talked about, like the Beatles. So you get a stimulus here, and then you have a push pull, and it creates this shutdown, right? So you have your, basically wake up, sleep, pay attention, don't pay attention. And you just fire it up really fast. And then boom, you go into, I feel great because I just burned out my brain. Okay. Anyways, dude, that's an intense. Okay. I have to think about that. Okay. Under its continual bombardment, his body organs, not fitted for modern civilization, show evidence of breakdown. This is particularly true of his reproductive system. Dr. Esterbrooks' whole argument is honest, logical, and stimulating. He is now a professor of psychology. So he has a bachelor's degree in anthropology at Oxford, now professor of psychology at Colgate University. Wow, there's some really intense things in it. Just before I drop off on this, this ties directly into the points that I wanted to make before I start reading it, is that one thing really to bear in mind, number one, is that they are presenting models to us, whether it's Sigmund Freud, right, telling us how our brains work, how our psychology works, or this mechanical idea, or now putting this idea that the sympathetic nervous system doesn't work, or this or that, right? So they're programming in particular framing, and if you and it's like, and basically it's very easy to, once you've created sort of a box or a bubble around how you think you're supposed to operate as a human being, you can even look at books like where the way people are constantly basically talking to themselves, right? Like you don't need to do, it's called interject, right? If you're constantly doing interjects, you can't access higher levels of thinking, right? You're just saying, okay, I have to go. I hope I leave my zipper down. Well, or something.
What about what about how the people, the psychiatrists think that, it's just a chemical imbalance. If we just give them more serotonin or less serotonin or use these uptake inhibitors and, we just got to rebalance. And they don't even know what the proper balance is. There is no balance. There's no way to test, but it's just this myth that they impose. And then they can use that structure to tell people this is what you need. This is how it's done, right?
Well, it's even worse than that. So, for example, in terms of the SSRIs, right, that was a hypothesis that was put
Right.
forward in the '60s. By the '70s, early '70s, it was basically completely disproven. And
Right.
as one neuroscientist describes, he said, if this incredibly one of the most complex things that we have direct access to in the cosmos. I mean, the human brain is immensely complex. Oh, if we know this, how to change it with just one little chemical. So it was already disproven, even in the psychiatry textbooks. They're saying that it doesn't work. Yet by the early 1980s, knowing full well that there's no proof for it, it is a hypothesis that basically, so I can make a hypothesis that, there's little green men in my bathroom. Well, I got to go look in my bathroom. They may or may not be there. That's a hypothesis. You can make any hypothesis you want, but if it's not proven, it is not even a theory. But in this case, this was disproven, and yet the mass marketing with by and large completely, fraudulent, spurious, compromised testing was put into place by the early '80s. And look at the result of this. It literally does not only does it not work, it has tremendous, really profound side effects.
All it does is damage, right? It's yeah. And but they keep that even though it's false. The science keeps it around because it's effective. It works, Just like even though the masks don't, they know that the masks are harmful, make people wear masks, make them get more sick. But they're like, oh, wear a mask, wear two masks. Like they know everybody should know that it's not true, but they still work with it because it's effective for their mind control, right? For their the pitch of their what they're selling, right? Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're kind of off the track
Not
here, but
really.
this go ahead.
It's it's this view that we've talked about where these guys just view they're Darwinists, they're materialists, they have a philosophy that's scientific, I would say. And this is what this guy's applying. It's weird too. Like this book, 1941. So it's literally follows after we're at 1939. So this book drops at the same time all this other research and correspondence he's doing with Hoover and Erickson and some of these other people who show up. And then we haven't even gotten to William Bryan shows up, William Joseph Bryan, which is totally crazy that he's in this thing, which shows that FBI knew William Joseph Bryan, which I don't think was proven before this. William Joseph Bryan, for people who don't know, ties to Sirhan, and all his stuff ties back to some of the stuff we talked about recently, which is automatic writing and things like that. So you're literally seeing like mind witch doctors or something like that, and these guys
Yeah,
are all in on it. It's like crazy. It's so crazy.
wow.
It's the
So
most
there's
important
actual
document.
documentation between there's actual proof of this guy connected Sirhan to Sirhan connected to this document G.H. Estabrooks in 1939.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wait, we're gonna get there. No, but it's
Can't
even
wait.
crazier. Esther Brooks, also what I found out since our last episode 12, this is 13, is that he took credit for the lie detector test too. So the
Oh,
psychogalvanometer, this guy's very important, dude, to history.
right.
Esther
Right.
Brooks. I'll bring up some of these articles. You guys, let's get back to the document, I
Yeah.
guess. But
Okay.
I'm
Do you
gonna try
mind?
to set up
Uh,
I'm gonna
Go
try to
ahead,
set
Hans.
up a slideshow real quick, and I'll show you some of the
Okay.
articles that I've
Uh,
found.
Sweet.
Do you mind if I just read this little thing I have? If you could share it, it's just on the sympathetic nervous system because it's really important to clarify terminology and see what does someone actually mean, and not just take it. Oh, it's science, and he's a scientist. So I have that at the window, the share window. I can just read it. You don't have to bring it up, but it's right there. My window, the share
Trying to
screen.
do two different things.
Oh, no worries. I'll just read it.
No,
So
let me get to it.
okay. So the sympathetic nervous system, SNS, is a key component of the autonomic nervous system, responsible for initiating the body's stress response, commonly known as a fight or flight response. This response prepares the body for immediate action during perceived threats by increasing heart rate, dilating pupils, constricting blood vessels, and redirecting blood flow to essential organs and muscles. It also stimulates the release of adrenaline, epinephrine, and noradrenaline, norepinephrine from the adrenal medulla, which amplifies these effects throughout the body. Beyond acute stress, the SNS plays a role in maintaining homeostasis. So, cybernetic term, basically, you want homeostasis is returning to balance, right? So you have a natural balanced state of the body. So homeostasis is a good thing, not a bad thing. Okay, during everyday activities such as exercise, eating, or regulating body temperature, it regulates a wide range of physiological processes, including blood glucose levels, diabetes, cardiac output, immune system functions, and body temperature. The SNS achieves this through precise connection between post-ganglionic neurons and target organs, including the heart, lungs, blood vessel, um, liver, kidneys, and digestive system. So we can just leave it there. But I just wanted to say that, well, yeah, it is responsible for stress. But I mean, if without sympathetic nervous system, you're basically going to die. So, okay, leave it there.
And that's the automatic stuff. So like when dude guy Erickson has his new wife moving her arm at the dinner table, it's affecting that kind of that part of the brain that's like behind her conscious will, right? So that the autonomic is like under your will. It's like what makes your heart run and shit. So they gotta stop. Sorry about the. I gotta stop swearing, but it's what makes your heart go and all that kind of thing. The stuff you don't think about your body, right? So it would happen before a thought, right?
It's a regular. It's also a regulatory balancing system. So you raise your heart rate during exercise. Your heart rate lowers. Adjusts for like temperature, this and that. Yeah, it sort of regulates. It keeps the body, you could say, in a state, ideally in a state of well-being. Now
Right.
the stress, the fight or flight. And I've talked about this. Sean, do not tell me to go hide in my bathtub, dude.
I love telling you that. I'm sorry.
No,
I won't. I promise.
I don't like it. It makes me sad.
Well, now that you said that, I'm gonna have to.
I'm a
stop
victim.
now.
I'm a
All
victim.
right.
I need
You
a
are.
safe space.
I'll cry for
I need
you.
to wear a pointed hat. But anyways, the thing is that the your brain is important. I mean, you have to have recognition, and you're receiving direct inputs from the body. That's how someone say it works. And
Right.
you people have intuition. If you're in the military, you get like a third sense that someone's about to shoot at you, right? Even it's been
Gut
proven.
feeling, right?
Yeah, or when people has been proven, if someone is being watched on a surveillance camera, they will notice, even though there's no way they can technically notice that. This is your so when you have control over this, and then you put in a cognitive framing, so the cognitive framing will also generate, like, if
Like trigger it. Right?
if people don't like me at school, I'm gonna die because I'm not well loved. And then that's how you inculcate this stress response.
Right.
And then the cortisol starts damaging the brain, and all your blood flow is basically like it's just going for emergency measures. And so it's starving your other organs, it's also starving your brain, and it's reducing your functioning. This is what doom scrolling is doing voluntarily.
So like that's also like after Grok the Clown gets his legs broken, he's not going to be thinking cognitively. He's going to be, acting out of, fight or flight, basically. Right. I mean, that's because that constant torture keeps us in that state of constant, Let's go back to the document. Sorry, guys.
Okay, go ahead, William. We're out. It's up to you, William. Take over.
William
You guys start reading. Like we're at
All
page it's my 260. So that's April 20th, 1939.
All right.
If somebody wants to take it from there, I'm just putting together a slideshow. So
I'll take it. Dear Dr. Estabrooks, thank you for your letter of April 20th, 1939. I will have the information concerning regression by means of hypnotic suggestion retained in the Bureau's file on this general subject for possible future reference in this connection. I am making a note of the work of Mr. G.R. Hopper in this file. Let me again thank you for keeping me advised in these matters. I remember last time it seemed like the other operators were saying, this guy Estabrooks is trying to take over everything and he's trying to be in charge of everything. And here he kept saying, thank you for keeping me part of this, because it seemed like they were trying to push him out. So again, he's thanking for continually being a part of this operation. That's funny. But why did you find this one significant? Because of the because of the mention of G.R. Hopper?
No, no, this is where we left off, bro.
Okay, I
Let's
see.
go to the next one is Dear Mr. Hoover from Esterbrook's, right?
I've got
Talking
that.
about
Yep.
that, yeah.
I'll keep going. Dear Mr. Hoover, just another idea which I frankly cannot evaluate myself. I have been very much interested of late in certain work done by the Russian and French psychologists. This work runs along a line of causing a regression by means of hypnotic suggestion. In other words, they suggest to be subject that he is now 10 years old, or 7 or 4. They then test this level of intelligence by means of organized intelligence test, and to be quite frank, results are surprisingly accurate, much more so than I would have suspected. This leads to the further thought that this regression may be really genuine. Perhaps it would be possible to suggest a regression to infancy. I have seen 2 or 3 examples in which the results of such a suggestion were pretty convincing. One might follow this with the suggestion that the individual grow up with a different background, say a different dislike for crime, or a definite uh, dislike for the Germans, some such thing. Such a roundabout attack would require longer, to be sure, than a true suggestion without first getting this regression uh, last. I don't know. He like scratched out and then he wrote with a pen. I don't know what it says. On the other hand, might possibly justify the time expended. I simply throw this out as an idea which may or may not have value. Frankly, I am not very much convinced that it has myself, but then I have practically nothing on which to pass my opinion. By the way, I wish you would note the name of one of my assistants, hers uh, here, who is extremely capable and who is highly intelligent at the same time. As a matter of fact, he has succeeded in doing many of my own experiments better than I have, and more than once completely deceived me with his results. This man is Mr. G.R. Hopper, now in the sophomore class at Colgate, a pre medical student, but very mature for his years. Cordially yours, Esther Brooks.
I did a Google search on G.R. Hopper. I could not find anything about this specific guy.
Huh.
I mean, nothing. I mean, maybe out there, maybe someone else can find it. I did all various search terms, etc. So I don't know if he just
If he was an academic, you'd be able to find him, right?
like the guy who's hypnotizing people at the that company. He sent that email. He's got
Oh, right.
remote viewing or whatever. But but just think about the regression. This is where we can see how one of the things say that happened in the 1960s and to a certain extent in the 50s is to say your life, you're not free, you're in prison, your life sucks, you have to break free, you have to break all the mores, right? Or else even they did it for a lot of the small towns. If you don't go to Hollywood and become a star or just whatever, you're nothing. Leave this life behind, da da da. So in a sense, they can shift or reframe people's experience of the past, which is pretty scary to what extent this can be done. And you know what I mean? And so narrative control is essential, right? Narrative control is essential because in a sense we live in narrative structures is creates the overall formal structuring of all the events past present future, what we're capable of, what we're not. it is very, of course, it can be changed, it's fluid, flexible. Most of the time, it's completely unconscious. But in a sense, if you even interject certain streams, which can be done through movies, right? It even be done to a child identifying with a character in a movie or identifying with a situation, or people that watch sitcoms, right? I remember when I was in high school, man, it was just like a bunch of friggin' zombies just repeating, oh, did you see this TV show? Da 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 da. Just repeating lines over and over again. Of course, I hung out with thespians and stuff, so maybe it was my fault. But but basically, think about that, right? So you're framing, and even if this is operating, you get people more and more into this very tiny little bubble that they consider that's what they are. That's what they are. And they have to defend that at all costs. And the doctor will tell you, oh, you're depressed, so you need to take a medicine. Well, what does that mean? Like, I always get into this because as soon as you take on the narrative as a victim, you are you are trapped. No matter how much power you think you have as a victim, you until you move out of that, you are a victim. But you're a victim of your own idiocy. And but and so it's this reverse negative valencing where I'm a victim. I'm a victim, man. I'm a victim. I'm victimized by Sean. He said I should hide my bathtub. Dude, it's
Blame it on
rough.
Sean. Just blame it on Sean.
Blame it on Sean. Yeah. But people don't know I had a campaign to basically blame every single thing on Sean.
It worked for a little bit, I'm sure.
It worked for me. I don't know if it worked for anybody else.
That's all that matters. But yeah, but really, like the world. I mean, everything, the way that our brains think, we think of the future and the past and the now, everything in words, and we structure our reality in words. And if they can influence all that, you know what I mean? Of course, that's why they spend so much money on the Hollywood and on the music and all that crap. You're right. Like it is, the narrative is what's most important, really. Like when we look back at 9/11, like some people believe that the floors came down like a pancake on one on top of the other, and the
Yeah.
kerosene melted steel, and they just
Yeah, it
believe
did.
that that's what happened. That's what
did.
I remember,
It
and
did.
to me, I was like, that's not true. I'm seeing it with my own eyes, but so that the narrative framed it for them in that way. Like
Somebody
the
thinks
news told
so.
them.
People think Charlie Kirk was shot with a 30-06.
Yeah, that exactly.
I'm beyond gunfire. There's some very high tech weaponry used there.
Yeah,
But it's happened. This series started before Kirk got assassinated. So if you want to talk about like application of mind control, that whole Charlie Kirk thing was an expression like 9/11 of some kind of high tech weaponry. We don't know. It's not a gunshot. There's no spatter. It's actually a perfect. The Kirk assassination is a perfect test for not a gunshot because he's literally sitting in front of a huge white tarp. So like anything, there would have been just at least one spatter of blood.
Yeah, and everybody's got their cameras recording. It's like right in front of everybody. And
Sean, look at how many people have just repeated that trope. I mean, these are other feds have done this. I'm not going to name names in public, but like I saw a deranged, tranny-loving person shoot Charlie Kirk, This is like the repetitive nature. Right. Shot. Pancake.
Yep.
Safe and effective.
You got to catapult the propaganda, as George W. used to say, right?
Well, the thing is, so you could say there's lexical thinking, there's also symbolic thinking, and there's feeling, direct sensation, non-modified. Very few people have access to that anymore. Okay, this is one of the biggest things. So if you don't have access to your actual service, what's coming in from your nervous system with clarity, and especially if you're stressed out, and then imagine you've suppressed the fact that you're constantly stressed out, you are really vulnerable. And then I think also with a lot of these things, we see very similar patterns where there's a story that is put out, and even it can be retracted. It doesn't matter. Once it's out, it just sticks there as the story. So I think if you really analyze it carefully, which I haven't done, and maybe someone has, but maybe I'll do it. But basically, there's other elements. I think there's symbolic triggers. There could be light form. There could be infrasound. There could be subliminal, binaural beat frequencies, etc. going on. And especially then you have the fact is you have, whether we're going to call it egregorical consciousness or group mind or, flocking, swarming, all these animal behaviors have been studied as they apply to human beings. You create a swarm, right? And so 30-06, well, he wouldn't even have a head probably, right? His head would be, rolling down the road.
They would at least have a bullet when it's finished. I mean,
Well, no, I mean,
they told us there's no bullet after that. Come on.
that's a powerful gun, man.
Yeah,
That's
right.
not a joke. And well,
No.
another thing is, I've heard from like other analysts is that to do this kind of an assassination, you have to have all of these calculations of trajectory of
Right,
because bullets do not travel straight, they travel in arc curves, right?
right,
They follow the curvature
right.
of the planet. So if you have to map this out, you can't just walk up and you can randomly do a school shooting or you can walk directly up to someone, whatever. But this kind of an assassination is a professional job, however it was done, or not. And then again, one other thing I'll just say real quick is that I apologize to all the flat earthers, man. I was like, dude, the Earth
I
is
knew
flat.
it. I knew
I'm
it.
so liberated. I just when I realized,
We'll
but
get at least one
Why
comment.
don't bullets just shoot off into space? I don't know. It goes a straight line.
but
Why?
but here's the thing: is that you also have, and I have a number of friends, people following this. Like, there are events that are fake where I won't mention the name of these events, right? But my brother, he's now deceased, but he was really this thing. Oh, nobody died at 9/11. Vixen. Well, my my sister-in-law worked at the World Trade Center. Luckily, she had like some trouble with the subway, didn't get to work on time. Her coworkers died. You know what I mean? So people were there that died. Now, Larry Silverstein didn't die. He was there hanging out, with his little cube of Saturn on his head doing whatever. But okay, I'll leave it there. But so what I'm trying to say is that, but you're saying you're right, William. I mean, we literally see these hypnotic command and control structures. We also see swarming, flocking. But the other thing is very important. I bring this up a lot, but I mean, it's that one of the fundamental basic survival mechanisms of a human being is that you want to be part of the society, because before, if you got thrown out of your society, you're dead. You're out there. I don't know what that weird, what do you talk about? The Thunder Beast? I don't know what the Thunder Beast is. Esterbrook's like, dude, what are you smoking, man? The Thunder Beast. But seriously, but basically, so this is it. Like, if I believe this, and this even will be completely unconscious, right? This is why people blow up. I mean, I tried to talk to like a close relative of mine about fluoride, and I just got like, this is years ago before I did any broadcasts. And I mean, I just got torn apart. Like, why do you think your Uncle Bob has no teeth? Well, okay, well, fluoride is a freaking toxin. And this is I mean, she's like, yo, you want to be like Uncle Bob? It's people like you that have ruined the world. I mean, and just like literally, like, I thought, like, you're going to friggin' rip my head off, but that's what happens. And so, once that is going on, and once someone is not able to get out of this box, and the more they're trapped in this artificial reality, the harder it is to get out of it, because the more fear they have. And then all you have to do is create all these barriers of darkness around stepping outside of that, right?
Or Sean would say the Tesseract.
Yeah,
all in
right,
the
the prison. Yeah,
By the
right.
way, there's a really deep Tesseract reference in the new Stranger Things.
I heard somebody shared that
episode.
with me, like
Yeah.
popsicle sticks or something. I gotta watch
It's
it.
it's in this book. Like, there's a book that's on the table. Let me see if I can find it.
Wow.
There's a
I
book on the table about like mind control. It's called A Book is a Wrinkle in Time,
Oh,
about
right.
Madeline Langle. And then they show it. And then if you like do the research, it's about like some girl trapped in a box. It's like,
Holy shit.
yeah, it's super
That's
heavy.
I
I had to read that in the high school, man. I
I
mean,
just,
elementary school. I read that. I
I
was
just-
forced to read it. So,
I just listened to the Time Machine by H.G. Wells the other day. I listened to the audio tape, And right at the beginning, they're talking about fourth dimension and, being like having a cube extruded and like, I mean, how do you express four dimensions in a three-dimensional world? But I
Listen,
want,
Madeline, listen. Madeline Angle, A Wrinkle in Time. A tesseract is a wrinkle in time. So there's like a direct reference. This is from the book
wow.
blurb. To tell more would rob the reader of the enjoyment of Miss Langle's unusual book. A Wrinkle in Time, winner of the Newbery Medal in 1963. That's a important thing. Is the story of adventures in space and time of Meg, Charles Wallace, and Calvin O'Keefe. Sounds like the Peter Pan kids.
Hmm.
Athlete, student, one of the most popular boys in high school. They are in search of Meg's father, a scientist who disappeared while engaged in secret work for the government on the Tesseract problem.
So that's that movie. That's
Yeah.
the Chris Nolan movie, right? The one, the new one, where
It's
the
in the new Stranger Things. I
scientist
don't
goes
know.
back in time, or he goes
I don't
into
know.
the
Is there a
Tesseract.
new movie called The
There's
Wrinkle in
no,
Time?
so Chris Nolan did this like science fiction where it's kind of Chris Nolan's like answer to 2001, where the dude goes into it's got like the guy from
Oh shit.
True Detective, what's his name there?
Ava DuVernay made a movie about this in 2018. Wow.
Well, anyway, that's what happens at the end of this sci-fi movie. He's in the Tesseract of timelessness, and he's there with his
Oh, with
AI.
McConaughey?
McConaughey,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
called.
yeah.
Is it not Contact? It's something else. It's,
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, yeah.
wow.
But that was in the story. That was basically, they probably lifted it all from that. Yeah. But
I mean-
that they but I just wanted to bring up what Hans was talking about earlier with these walls, barriers of keeping people in the loop or in the group think. I wanted to say that shame to like, they have shame on you for not wearing a mask, shame on you for not protecting grandma, they really made us feel bad for having, missed thoughts, like like you're thinking wrong, shame. And that's like, so one of the oldest things for keeping a group, cohesive, us and them, like they're them, shame. Like, it's a big part of that, I think. And nobody wants to have to think of themselves as shameful. Like, I'll do anything to not be that,
It's all behavioral psychology. They've tested it all out. It's the
Right.
Ash experiment and all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's been tested, but I mean, so I mentioned, like I read, I think A Wrinkle Time in elementary or middle school. It was part of the reading curriculum, and so some of these things are programmed in my brain. Right? We read another book called Go Ask Alice, this diary of a girl who goes insane, taking LSD, and then what is it? The Judy Blume, sex books, and then Catcher in the Rye, of course, and Lord of the Flies, etc.
Think about all that we've been exposed to.
Pretty bleak future.
God, really bleak stuff. Every time I think about Catcher in the Rye, the worse it gets. It's a horrible, horrible book. I
And
cannot
what it
believe
says
that.
on the mirror, the FU, just like, still like, wow. Dude.
Well, and this is the other thing is that, if so self-esteem, right? So this is, I don't want to tell my story about the paper plate, conditioning, torment conditioning in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, where I had to,
It's bad.
where
That's a bad
we had
story,
to,
man.
I'll say
Yeah.
the story, I probably said it a dozen times, but it's just interesting. So for about a couple months at school, every day we had to wear a paper plate that says I lack, which means I am loving and capable. I lack. I'm lovable. No, I'm not loving. I'm lovable and capable. Anytime someone said something nasty to you, you're a piece of shit. You have to tear your plate. And so sometimes at the end of the day, you just got like just two like little, things of yarn, man. You just crying like, well, that's self-esteem, right? That's introduced Maslow's hierarchy that has been taken into the literature, and even people that have really seem like, all right, well, it's not scientific. It's total bullshit. Sorry, I'm swearing, but this stuff aggravates me because it's so destructive, and yet it's so canonized, right? The peak of human experience is not a friggin' orgasm. I mean, maybe I haven't had the right orgasm, but
You got to circumcise yourself in a bathtub, not
Yeah.
hide there. You got to hang yourself by your nuts. Sorry.
but just
Hold
just
on,
to,
this is news to me. What are you talking about?
I'm making a joke.
he's talking. I think he's talking about.
I was saying Kinsey. I was like, he was saying, or because Kinsey says the orgasm is the best, and then, but
Right.
he's not having the right kind of orgasm. We'll take
Yeah.
Kinsey's advice. He'll tell you to hang yourself by your nuts.
But so
Yeah,
but
if you guys want to hear a good show, do the show that Sean and I did about Kinsey. Was it all three of us? Or was
Oh
it just
yeah, you were
Michelle?
there. Yeah,
Yeah, we
we
did
were
that.
invited to with Nick at the Cult Rejects. I think it was all four
Yeah,
of
we
us
did
at
a
a time.
Kinsey show. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a good one.
yeah. But just one last thing to say. So just what interesting though, just to kind of bring it forward again, real quick. So again, self-esteem. What does it mean? People say, "Oh, it's high." Well, no, self-esteem is how you think other people think about you, and then you value yourself based on that. So it's a reflection of a reflection, and just like Catcher in the Rye, it shows that he's just constantly talking to himself. That's all he's doing, and this is where it's called the psychological term, technical term is interject. But in interject, you're actually physically moving your tongue, so it's like you actually even if you're not saying anything out loud, but it is a much lower gradient of of the thought, right? You can think far more faster than that. You can think light years faster than that. But as soon as you reduce someone's consciousness level, this is all you are, and you can't, and then you put all these fear envelopes outside of that, and then you think, oh, how people think, what do you think other people think of you, Tommy? Oh, other people don't like me. Well, you're not worth anything. You should be ashamed. And then but then people that are friggin' psychopaths, right? Like the Wolf of Wall Street, they're sort of people psychopathic narcissists are promoted as these kind of heroes, right? You know what I mean? So, okay.
Sean, it sounds like you have a doppelganger somewhere. Your dad might have, did some sales travels or something.
Yeah, well, let's hope it.
Yeah, Magister, where part of the earth are you in?
Magister
yeah.
Temple. That's funny.
No, it says for people who can't see it, Sean looks like my best friend from high school, rather trippy, even down to the neck cover thing. XD, what's that?
I think that's like a emoji face, like he's laughing.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. That's pretty great. I am your friend, buddy. I am. Maybe not literally, but I am your friend.
Sorry, one last thing in Stranger Things kick here is, have you guys seen the ads, right? Like say on Netflix, continuous ads, and it starts out like the person's in Target and suddenly it gets all psychedelic. They're transported back to the 80s, this, that, just really kind of dystopian, weird. So they have it for multiple retailers, but then they say, oh, watch Stranger Things. But they have this tie-in of various retailers with very trippy ads that involve this reality warping type of thing. And maybe I don't know if you could probably bring this up, but Target has like I think 3 or 4 different ones. And I was like, you see this ad, like, what the hell is this ad? Oh, Stranger Things. So this is all part of this thing. And another thing, real quick, just on this tip, is that there's a number of series that I tried to get through, and what they have is this jumping in time. Right. So we're talking about regression where the lead character is walking and it's, she's 50 and then suddenly it's the same scene, but then it turns out she's 8 years old. And it's constant like flashbacks forward and back without clear coherence, which is really 101 crappy screenwriting. Right. But you see this warping of time where the past, seriously, this is like if you do a flashback, do it judiciously or you suck. And now you have an entire 8-episode series that are all flashbacks, and to me they're just like friggin' irritating, right? And you got other
Maybe
shows.
it means something else. Maybe it's like that's her altar that pops up, and then this altar is popping up, and then that's how it's going through the day. I mean, I've never seen it, but I'm just guessing. Like, I mean,
it's a state of it creates a state of derealization, and that shows this regression in real time,
right?
And people operating in a state of regression. So in a sense, they're always going into this past thing. They're not either in the past or the present, right?
Right.
They're actually derealized, and they're floating in some psycho space, God knows where, and
in the upside down.
Yeah, they're going to have to really struggle to get themselves back because their actual consciousness, or what you call it, soul, is imprisoned in some kind of weird, maybe a tesseract space. They got to come out of that, but it can be very unpleasant.
Can we talk about Stranger Things while it's here for just a minute?
Sure.
This is like the top-notch epitome of their mind control technology right now. It's like Netflix is unfolding this thing I mean, they know they got people who like binge everything at once. They got them for like 8 hours worth of consciousness. Like they got their attention every time. And now look at this Target. Look at this.
The
Like,
merch is incredible, dude. They got merch and
dude,
Target
it's
Exit 11. They've
it
got like
reminds me
the
of
number of
Spaceballs.
magic on there, bro.
Oh,
Look, it's
great.
right there.
Target.
Well,
Oh,
that's the
right,
lead
because that's her
character's
name
name.
is 11 on, of course, right? Because she's the next level. She's like, advanced. She's the monarch as opposed to the pupa. She's the butterfly, right? 11 is the next. Yeah. Anyway, so like this,
Number of magic.
it's just right, exactly. But I mean, it makes you think of like, I mean, like Spaceballs made fun of it when he was like merchandising, we got Spaceballs toilet paper, Spaceballs flamethrower, it's the same shit like they were doing with Star Wars. And I mean, but still, and Star Wars was that peak technology then too, like what they were really, there was like the myth making with Joseph Campbell and how he goes back to this Esalen Institute and all this other crap that we're learning about, like what is Stranger Things? Like if you like, I was watching it I was watching it in the past, and every episode, the main dude, like well, not the main dude, but that dude on it again, like, right. But the main dude who's the cop, every time,
James Hopper,
every scene, he's got an American flag, like on his shirt, on his car, on it. And when he's like kidnapped and in Russia, he's wearing a blue jacket with like red stripes and a white shirt. It's like, dude, you're still wearing the flag. It's just like, it's so dripping with that, statist mind control of like the hero is the flag, and like, I mean, you read about it with like a Etienne de la Boutie talks about it in his book about the anchoring that they use with the American flag in all of these movies, like the Civil War thing and all the comic book things. It's all got the American flag right there when they save the day. It's in the background flapping, and that's just one little piece. And Stranger Things is dripping with that. Like what else? Are they, they're just loading the whole thing. And if we really went and looked at it, I'm sure it would be like a smorgasbord of not only magic stuff and mind control stuff and MK Ultra stuff. Like it's just, I don't know what are they going to have next? You know what I mean? Like, geez, man, like, anyway, because like they can't make anything good unless it's about magic or mind control, the revelation of the method. That's the only thing people want to watch. You know what I mean? They can't like do another Alice in Wonderland or some shit and make people like really like, oh, what a good movie. Like they can't make a good movie anymore. They're fully down to nothing. I mean, there's only like 2 good directors still making movies these days, like maybe 3, but I'll get off my high horse. I'll stop. Yeah, I go on rants. I'm sorry.
It's true though. They don't make any good movies anymore. I mean, there's also huge West Memphis 3 references in that whole throughout from the beginning. The motifs and symbolism. The kid's name who disappears, his name is Will Byers. It's one of the victims to West Memphis.
Oh, right. Yeah, dude, that's the last name. Holy shit. That's the first name too, right? Isn't it?
Stephen Byers was the real victim's name.
Branch. Yeah. And okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's all there. The motif, the bikes, the whole bike motif, the disappearance.
The whole 80s nostalgia. Like, who is the people that are doing 80s nostalgia? The parents of the kids. Like, oh, let's watch this together. And like people our age who like grew up in the 80s and now we will choose to put this on, and then it's like regressing us back to when we used to listen to that song or when we used to play D&D. And now we are identifying with these characters who are like a bunch of idiots, but like it regresses everybody into being a child again. We're all rooting for the children and identifying with children, and then this one child is getting abused and has this monster problem. Like what, what are they doing? Anyway, I'm going to stop.
One of the things is they're literally like inculcating a whole new generation of the concept of the Hellfire Club. Like literally there's a hellfire, which is real dark.
I see the shirts everywhere, and I think of like the dead bodies that were buried at Ben Franklin's house, right? Yeah. Like, what the hell? And that was the one thing that he would, he would go to France and he was living over there. And what do they do in France? I mean, France is like they got black magic since the beginning over there, man. It's some dark. They do dark shit, and still, like if you look at Paris, they'll have like a mummy in a store window, like put there by magic ritual. Yeah. Anyway, so like, and if you look at the way that French language was like that, all of the French Freemasonry, like it goes deep with that whole thing. But yeah, anyway, like our connection to the secret societies was there with Ben Franklin. And
Oh, 100%. Okay,
yeah.
there's tons of those people. Like the head of the Exchequer was the head of the Hellfire Club at the time. Like it overlaps with the Revolution, because people are in the Hellfire Club. People who don't know, the Hellfire Club was a series of catacombs inside of a hill. So you would like go over and reenact crossing the river Styx, and they would bring in prostitutes and booze and like really dark.
Isn't that where Crowley got the inspiration for "Do What Thou Wilt"? Wasn't
They
that
say
like
Boudras, yeah, do what thou wilt.
No, that's actually from
French.
that's
From
from
Gargantua and Pantagruel.
yeah, gotcha.
That's from
Pantagruel.
Rabelais.
Which is really, I mean, Rabelais is pretty. I mean, that guy is hardcore. He's very tripped out. But I just want to share real quick, not to jump in, which I'm doing, but I just found a little thing
Please jump. I
on
dig it.
Esther Brooks from the discography of American Historical Recording. So he actually has 2 albums on
Wow.
Hypnotic Technique Part 1 and Part 2.
Wow. Can
But
we
listen to
download
this.
those? What are they called?
They're called Hypnotic Technique Part 1, Instructional Talk, 1929, and then 6/4/1929, Hypnotic Technique Part 2, Instructional Talk. But let me read this bio on this website, okay? And this
You
is
have a link? Can you put the link in the
Sure.
private
Yep.
chat?
Yeah, I will. So this bio, check out this bio, guys. So George Hoban Estabrooks, December 16th, 1895 to December 30th, 1973, was a Canadian-American psychologist and an authority on hypnosis during World War II. He was a Harvard University graduate, a Rhodes Scholar, and chairman of Department of Psychology at Colgate University. He claimed to have used hypnosis to help spies have split personalities, to not actually know they were spies in case of capture. He stated it was easy to create and easy to cure using hypnosis. He joined the 1st Canadian Division in his teens, and by age of 19 became the youngest commissioned officer. Later in life, he became a 32nd degree Knights Templar Mason.
Wow.
Yeah, and wrote various articles, including books, The Future of the Human Mind, Hypnotism, Spiritism, and Man, The Mechanical Misfit. Estabrooks did experiments on children. He exchanged correspondence with the then FBI Director Herbert Hoover about using hypnosis to interrogate juvenile delinquents. It is possible he used Manchurian candidates in children. Jane Roberts revealed in an interview with the Village Voice that Dr. Instream in the Seth material was in fact Esther Brooks.
Oh, whoa. Can you say that one more time?
Jane Roberts revealed in an interview with the Village Voice that Dr. Instream in the Seth material was in fact Esther Brooks.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah, no, tell me, dude. I know.
Please tell us.
That means Seth is like this discarnate entity.
Yeah, he's like a channel.
In New Age, like he's a channeled entity. What Jane Roberts, who I don't know, what she's saying is that Esther Brooks was doing this thing under guise, juicing the New Age and the whole culture with the Seth material.
So she wrote the Seth books. And she said, "Doctor."
That's what she said. It's supposed to be channeled material.
So it turns out it was Esther Brooks. Whoa!
Wow.
No, guys, that is so huge. That's a whole nother show. Like,
Okay,
if that's really Esther Brooks. We have to go verify all that stuff. Wow, that means that they just juiced the whole New Age all the way through Course in Miracles and the Esalen and all this stuff. It's all effing fake.
Yeah, that's what Passio was saying. All the Satanists were like, just wait till you see the New Age, right? Yeah.
Wow, it's all fake. Wow.
and
He's freaking Seth.
dude. Seth, I mean, and well, I do
Funny,
know, I mean, Seth
Seth.
was one of the big, like, I mean, there was like
It's like one of
huge
these big
cults.
channel things. It's like Ramtha or something like that.
But
If you
that's
remember Ramtha, these
the
entities from other things. Seth is one of them.
Seth is like Set of the Egypt, right? And then the line of Set is how Jesus is the line of Seth, that whole thing. And Seth had like a donkey head, right? In Egypt. Um, anyway, that's some other stuff, I
No,
guess.
I mean, this is just a whole another avenue of research.
All right,
This guy's
I'm
way
talking
more
about other stuff.
important. He's way more important than anybody you ever realized.
Well, yeah, and I just, you know, and just
where is that from? What website is that from?
I just, it's in the private chat. I sent you the link. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to
it's,
check out these albums. I was just looking up
adp.library.ussb.edu.
but you know, like the Course in Miracles, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not ashamed, or maybe I should be really ashamed of my aunt, who's a wonderful lady. I doubt she'll hear the show, but she was like way into Course in Miracles. I was 18, man, and she like, read this will change your life, and I did the whole damn thing, and I'm still picking out some of that stuff from my brain, man. It's some of that stuff got embedded, dude. I'm like, that is so. I still remember, like, lesson 1, nothing I see means anything. My attack, and then lesson 2, nothing is real except what I have given it. And number 3, my attack thoughts are creating people attacking me. No, the fact is that you're being mind controlled by this book that was so well researched, and millions of people, and like Marion Ferguson, right? Marion Ferguson.
Williamson.
Oh no, Marion Williamson. Like, she came out there, you know, Return to Love, and she's like a big Course in Miracles, you know, para guru, you know, and she's like a massive multimillionaire, all based on A Course in Miracles. And it turns out that this was done during a MK Ultra operation with this. I hate to say it, but you know, she was a chosen one, the writer who supposedly atheist chosen one, who suddenly challenged this, you know, channeled this direct message from Jesus Christ to you. But then you go through the book, then by halfway through, I expect miracles today. I'm having a miracle today. Lesson 250. I don't have a miracle because I don't have a miracle mindset. And so, dude, I mean, it is so. I mean, and people spend their entire lives on this. This takes people's entire life energy. And they are, I mean, people will do this dozens of times, man. People will just be caught in this loop. And again, it's not something, you know, you're not there like sacrificing babies to Satan in a friggin' church basement. No, you're trying to be a good person and connect with God or something. And this is what you get. Right. And so it is really diabolical. And so, I mean, but the Seth thing, it reminded me, you know, I way into the new age stuff, and my aunt listens to this, you know, I'm drinking blue tea. What can I say? But I mean, this is heavy, right? So we might find a whole nother connection.
It's incredible, bro. Seth material is like one of the core outlooks of all new age thought. It really is. And this person, Jane Roberts, is from Sarasota Springs in upper state New York. This is right around where Colgate is. So it makes perfect sense. I'll read you this overview of this. The Seth material comprises a series of channel communications attributed to an entity named Seth, delivered through American author and medium Jane Roberts from 1963 until her death in 1984. Transcribed by her husband, Robert Butts, these texts explore metaphysical concepts such as the nature of reality, consciousness, reincarnation, and personal creation of experience. Widely regarded as a foundational influence on the post-World War II New Age movement, the material popularized ideas like you create your own reality. Its key philosophical tenets and scholarly and psychological interpretation. You create your own reality, multi-dimensional consciousness. Wow. Reincarnation, God and creation. I mean, multi-dimensional consciousness is like another word for split brain. Like,
yeah,
wow, this is crazy. I had no idea.
I just what Passio was saying before about with the Satanists, they say that solipsism is a sin for them, but it's what they wish to impose on everyone else, is to not believe that solipsism is like, oh, everything's perception, nothing is real, right? Those things that he was saying, the first two tenets or whatever that Hans was just reading out of this is solipsism and nothing is real and don't believe yourself. And then the third one is blame yourself for everything bad that happens. So all of the evil ones don't get blamed. You go around like flagellating yourself, when meanwhile, and you're off in a cul-de-sac spinning while they're going and continuing to do the evil without you pestering them anymore. It's like a perfect weapon for them.
I mean, you're looking at, so you have things that, and a lot of things you can find some ring of tooth. So, I mean, you can create your reality in terms of like, so I have great relationships now with all my family. I don't have any conflicts with anybody. Zero. I mean, and if someone has a conflict with me, it's all over for them. I'm just kidding.
It's their problem.
Yeah, no, it's their problem. I get out to 30-06. No, I'm just joking, guys. I see Ray said. But what I'm saying is that so I can create my reality by doing that, but I can't. As soon as you get that in, what happens is you are in a self created feedback loop where you're not even getting your actual sensory perceptions. If you cannot connect with the reality of the world around you, you know, you can change your experience, and two people can be in the same situation, and I just not to go too much, but I'll describe the situation. Like, okay, I have a gig. I got, I tear off the entire top of my finger explodes. I got to play sitar, very difficult instrument. There's blood streaming down my hand. I mean, it just popped off. Like, it's just like raw flesh at the top of my finger. I still did the gig. I didn't get to, yeah, it was a little rough. I did it. I didn't freak out. Now, it was like, I said, well, worst case, I can't play it, but I'm going to try to play, but I'm not going to, just do it. I just marched ahead. I did it. So that's an example. If I had any way, okay, it kind of sucks. Yeah, I'm in shock. I got a friggin' towel wrapped around my hand, soaked in blood. I'm trying to drive with one hand. Like, what's up with this guy? I say, but so I made it through. I did it. So in that way, I could say I created my own reality, but I didn't create the reality. Like, I can't just say, oh, my finger's not cut. It's healed. But then when you say, like, if you, but the other side, you create your own reality. Now, you don't have to have enemies, but you have to be consciously aware of what people are doing. If you can't judge people's behavior, and then if you say, "Oh, well, that's the secret, right? It's the same paradigm." You're poor
Right.
because you don't think the right way. You don't think like
Right.
me.
Blame
You know,
yourself, right?
blame. Yeah,
It's not taxes or people like imposing all these problems on you. It's your fault you're such a loser. It's like, like telling the slaves like it's their fault for not knowing how to read, when it's set up that they can't, if it's imposed on us that this solipsistic world and then the TV is another level of solipsism too, with the shared illusion that everybody has, I think that's just a big piece of it. Like, it's a very important tool for them to keep us total. Like you can create your reality, but if you're not connected to everyone else or the actual reality, then you're not affecting the world. Your will is severed from action. You can be going and having dopamine rushes all day and sitting on a pillow, but you're not helping anything. You're not like changing anything. And therefore, you're out of their way and they can just keep destroying the world,
but
going on with it.
yeah, but at the same time, actual things you can change and you should change, they become outside of your control. So then, and
Right.
you hold on. Oh, I am so traumatized. My mom didn't love me. Okay, you know what? What are you gonna do? You're gonna be 90 years old and still bitching about your mom? I mean, come on, start your life. I mean, but no,
Only
I'm
on
serious.
Tuesdays.
No, it creates it gives you a false sense of power in areas where you actually need to start to understand what are the real circumstances, what are the real factors, causes, and
Right.
conditions. And the actual areas where you can change, you don't want to. It's like you get more and more fragile, right? And so you have, I had so many traumas. I got to talk about my traumas, and
Right. I need a safe space.
yeah, and I'm so enlightened. I'm enlightened, and sometimes you see this with people.
Right.
Sometimes, and no offense to any hippies out there, hippies they seem really nice, and then it's like, blow up. Like the kind bro becomes like, he's not that kind, because they're trying to hold this together. And in fact, they are splitting, they are doing depersonalization, continuous self hypnosis.
Right.
And the more they do the self hypnosis, the more part of their consciousness still knows, what are you doing, dude? But
Hmm.
you're going to repress that, and then it's just like, and you're just creating this, this like inverted spool. And the danger is, when you unplug that, boom, you just blow apart. Like your whole brain just blows apart, and you
Right.
end up like a nutcase. And you end up
Just
like falling in love with Chat GPT.
or just like the trannies who go and shoot up schools on purpose because like they have like they think that this is their identity and that they're gonna do this is gonna heal them and make them better, and then all of a sudden they're still angry a-holes who want to destroy everything, and it's not really healing them, it's just taking them further from the reality, and they keep telling themselves, this is what I am, this is what I am. I can change my body and the reality of the world, and meanwhile they're getting further into this well of like that they have to dig out of, and then it snaps and they go and get an AR-15, and the FBI is in their ear going, shoot up this one because there's white kids in this school. That's kind of what happens. But anyway, getting it back, how many mass shootings have there been since we talked last? Hans, do you have
Yeah,
you paid
really
attention?
good
Oh yeah, yeah. I kind of just started. I was just like, dude, there's, it's keep going. Let me just, I'll bring that up. I
I'm sure
didn't.
it's been a lot because I'm hearing stuff on the radio, man. It's really, it wasn't just Charlie Kirk, you know what I mean? Like it's still going like this.
Okay, so Um, we are up at 481 mass shootings. And so we have mass shootings 1228, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 1228, Chicago, Illinois, 1226, Washington, D.C., 1226, San Jose, California. Let me see it's if I can go back earlier. So yeah, so it's okay. 1226, Wallace, Idaho, 1226 San Jose, California, 1225 Lancaster, California, 1224 Aurora, Colorado. Heard of that place. 1224
Again?
Greenwood, Mississippi, 1224 Chicago, Illinois, 1223 Albany, Georgia, 1220 Oakland, California. When was I forgot our last show? 1220 Jacksonville, Florida, 1219 Rochester, New York, 1215 Baltimore, Maryland, 1214 Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know if you know about that. At 1214. Okay, so that's up to the 14th. There's four on
Mm,
1214. Again, most of these, they're all only in local news. They're not national. Nobody knows about this stuff. I mean, unless you follow the mass shooting tracker website, you don't know. You know what I mean? So
right.
it's not, but this is a real epidemic, man. This is like, I mean, so we're not as bad as I think the highest number ever was 783 in 2023, but it's
Wow.
still, I mean, that's 481. And again, there were no, I mean, there was like one mass shooting between Sandy Hook and Columbine, or like two. I mean, there's almost
Right.
none for like almost, however, what, a decade or something.
Right.
So just from 2000, what was it? I forget what I said. The date, it just blew up. Is that 2000? Was it 2000?
23.
No, no. I mean, when
Oh,
the mass shooting went from like, I think it was right after Sandy
right.
Hooks. Yeah, Sandy Hook.
Hookers.
Yeah. So so
Dirty
2000.
hookers, Sandy hookers, right?
So 2013 has 339 mass shootings. So this is the first one where it just jumped. 339. Shooting
33,
339,
9.
killed 467, wounded 1176. Wow, there we got two 13s, 1113.
If it was 1177, the magicians would have been really happy.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
then 2014 325, and then 2015 371, 16 481, 17 is 434, killed 601, wounded 1993. Uh,
Mm.
uh, and wounded could be seriously wounded, right? 2018 430, 1.1 per day, killed 530.
1.1 per day.
1.21 per day. Killed
Death. I mean,
530,
deaths, right? Yeah.
killed 539. and wounded 1556. These are the same
Wow.
kind of numerological.
Wow.
2019, 505 mass shootings in 2019. Shootings per day 1.42. Killed 632 and wounded 1912. 2020, 716 shootings in 2020.
Jeez.
2.02 per day.
People
Killed
were mad. Dude,
killed
2020.
686 people killed and wounded 2,814. 2023 2021 830 mass shootings in
Wow.
2021. 2.27 per day, killed 939, wounded 3,180. 2022 766 mass shootings, killed 884, wounded 3,008. 2023 I guess 2020, what was it? 2021 is actually the highest year at
Yeah.
840. So,
That's
anyways,
when people were they all had to wear a mask and stay indoors.
yep.
No
So
wonder.
2023, 759, 963 people killed, 2,974 wounded,
Jeez.
2.14 per day. So 2.14 per day. And then okay, 2024, 576 mass shootings, killed 697, wounded 2,371. Um, and it says additional victims may have refused medical treatment. The one of this
Oh, so they didn't get counted, right?
Adams County, Colorado, wounded victims may have refused medical treatment. That seems kind of weird, but anyways, I'll leave it there on the mass shooting
Right.
thing. You guys asked, so
But I mean, like, it just goes to show, like, that is the new narrative. That's what happens now, right? That's people now, everybody, when they talk about it, they say, oh, killing kids at a school. It just happens. That's just what are we gonna do? Go kill kids at a school. Like the female shooter who dressed up like a male or whatever in Nashville. Um, like, she had no ties to that school. She just went there because, like, whatever. She was thinking about going to her own school. She's thinking, and then they all think about, like, oh, Dylan and the other one, they're heroes, and they put them on a pedestal, and, like, oh, they really did something, and that whole, like, lionization of those deviant minds, like they're the hero, like, and other deviant minds look at them, as examples, and it just kind of compounds. The more that happens, the more it goes, and now it's like parents just assume and all the teachers are like, they're going through drills and stuff, and regular schools everywhere are going through drills. So, like, even if there isn't a mass shooting, the kids have to go through a drill, just like a fire drill, to, like, prepare them. And it gets their mind ready for, this is how it happens. And then you got the David Hogg, and he's in the news, and he's like, I was there when they started shooting. I mean, like, this narrative is put in at all levels. Like, they even have to go and act out and hide under the tables and stuff. The same thing they were doing with the bomb in the 40s, just hide under your table.
It
Getting all
happened
the
when I was
kids
a kid, man.
right.
They would do nuclear bomb things in the 70s. There's no
duck
question.
and cover, duck
Right.
and cover. They remember the songs, duck and cover.
Dude, it's really gonna save you. Your desk is gonna save you from a nuclear blast. But I mean, it gets them activated. It activates their body. It gets their mind thinking about it. Gets them moving their body, and it's like really imprinting on them because of the actions that they have to go through. Just like what Hans had to deal with the eye lac and the plate. Like, literally lacking pieces of plate that were torn off. Like, it's yeah, and it's the way the many vectors of input of this narrative is going full on, so that now people just think this is what you do. Just like people used to think, oh, if I was angry, I go in the streets and yell with my sign, and all the people will get together and we all have a good time. Now they're like, I'll go on a train with a knife and stab people dressed as the Joker, and then wait around for the cops to get me. Like, who gave them that idea? Like, where does that come from? And this here, like, it starts with these documents, really. I mean, we're getting to the bottom of it the more we look.
Yeah, just one thing about most of the mass shootings, right? So I mean, not that I'm a fan of ISIS. I'm certainly not. I'm not a fan of
Oh,
those guys.
ISIS is great, dude. I saw them open up for Tool.
Oh yeah,
Those guys are great.
ISIS. Yeah, no, the terrorist organization named after the pagan Babylonian goddess.
No, I'm
Yeah,
talking about the metal band.
I know. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is that, however, whatever, at least okay, terrorism does not work as a political strategy, but at least they have some type of a goal in mind, or there's something. This is purely nihilistic. You're just causing
Right.
random people suffering for what? I mean, it's absolute nihilism. And what do you accomplish? What are you going to accomplish by this? You're going to get killed, and you're going to destroy other people's lives, and you destroy all extended family. You're going to create so much tragedy. So get ready to be reborn in the hell realm, man. But I mean, there's no, it doesn't like, even if, so I'm really unhappy. So I'm going to go kill a bunch of people. And then what? I'm going to be happy just killing random people. There's no meaning or purpose. It is a purely nihilistic active. Maybe it's pure evil. I mean, maybe it's beyond
Yeah.
evil. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say so.
Just go back to the Black Awakening stuff.
Right. Right.
William, do you want to dive in with your material side? We kind of
Well, I've got this. I've got these newspaper stuff. So these are like some interesting articles about Esterbrook's, but it
Great.
just shows his kind of like eugenicist ideas and a spiritist stuff that leads up to the Seth materials. I was reading here, like he literally was in conversation. This Seth person is like the foundational thing for the New Age, and he's like hypnotizing the subject. Her name was, I think, mentioned in that article that you had. It was Jane Roberts. Yeah,
right. And she admitted it was him. That's funny.
And that was early
extreme,
too.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, 63. And,
65. Hoban died in 73.
But I mean, the Seth stuff was like foundational, right? There wasn't a new age. It basically created the new age to a certain degree.
I think it was. They keep saying like it was like the core, some of the core documents. The lady Jane Roberts went to a hypnosis symposium at Oswego State University College in July 65, where they met Esterbrook's, coordinator of the event. He expressed interest in testing Seth's abilities scientifically. Starting in September 1965, on Monday and Wednesday nights at 10 p.m., Esterbrook would select and concentrate on a specific object, sometimes a location in his office or home, away from Elmira, New York, where Jane and Rob lived. During regular Seth sessions, or usually twice weekly, Seth would provide impressions remotely. They ran approximately 76 tests from session 189 to session 272. The purpose was to demonstrate clairvoyance under controlled conditions with no prior knowledge on Jane's part. Dr. Esterbrook emphasized rigorous methodology to avoid common pitfalls in ESP research. And it's all mentioned in her book, The Seth Material from 1970.
Well, dude, what's wild is I glanced through his complete bibliography, right? And one of the big things that they were working on at Esalen, at Stanford Research Institute, with, the Merry Pranksters, Grateful Dead, and all that stuff, was synthetic telepathy. So Esterbrook's first book, 1900, The Enigma of Telepathy. Second book, 1927, A Contribution to Experimental Telepathy, 1927. So 1900. So this is quite.
Can't be 1900. That can't be your right side. He was born in 1895.
Okay, you're right. So
that's incorrect. Yeah.
I'm looking at WorldCat.
It wouldn't be the first time they were wrong, but I believe the 27 one that he did. That was the ESP one, right?
Yeah. This is I don't know if it's you guys are aware that, I mean, there's so many books are just disappearing from the libraries, and you can't find a lot of these books.
Right. It's hard to find his books. It's hard to find Esterbrook's books, like in book form.
Yeah,
there's one on eBay for like $300.
Yeah, I wonder that's an odd typo. I'm trying to, so that but see, other thing is that, you know what, you just, now I got to log in. Okay, but
one of the interesting things about Esterbrook's here is he's talking to Army. So this whole notion of like the CIA is the central locus of mind control is false. And I think this document in Esterbrook shows that he's trying to reach out to military. He's reaching out to FBI, and it's kind of like the CIA tunnel vision. Like, oh, it's the CIA done it. They do the same thing in the JFK assassination. They overlook all the military guys that are surrounding the whole thing. There's so many military people. The ugly American and the guy who did all the bombing in Japan. Like, there's just so many military people around it. It's the same thing that happens in the mind control field. But it's just interesting, this thing, Acadia. Here he is in the back of his book. This one is, I forgot why this one's important.
Naval
that's him.
intelligence is
Clinical
bigger.
hypnosis group starts to move farm state. That's I think Esterbrook's is on the right in the center there. He's one of those people.
So I found the date is actually 1929. It was a journal article. So that was the enigma of telepathy was 1929. So
Here's Esterbrook's and his eugenics things. Morons peril the whole human race. Hamilton, New York. The United States is changing from a democracy into a moronocracy, according to Dr. George H. Esterbrook's Colgate University psychology professor. The professor views with alarm that the birth rate of morons in America is 2.5 times greater than that of citizens in the above average intelligence group. He's a pessimist too. Dr. Esterbrook is even more pessimistic about man in general. His prediction being that the human race will end in distinction if in 1,000 to 10,000 years, unless it takes steps to correct the differential birth rate and the fatal effects of modern medicine. The moron, quote, the moron is inheriting the earth and the power of man's physical machine. There's the physical machine again, is being lowered continually through weaknesses passed on by individuals kept alive by the doctor's magic. All those words are pregnant with meaning.
I like money.
Yeah, he also wrote
Idiocracy. Like that's what Idiocracy is. The plot of that movie is like the dumb people inherit the earth.
It's happening now. It's in California. Yeah. I wish it was funny. It's really bad here. It's so bad. The roads don't get fixed. It's literally living around 2-digit IQs. For people who are smart, it's hell. It feels like hell. Like they're just stealing everything. It's worse than Minnesota. It's just total hell there in California. It's just a total nightmare.
No, and of course we are on. I mean, ideally it won't come to America because there's too many red-blooded patriots. But like in England, man, I mean, they're arresting. I don't think they're up to like 50 or 100 people today for YouTube comments. I mean, people even writing a message they don't send. You know, one lady like insulted her ex-boyfriend or something, but she didn't even send the message. They came and arrested her and threw her in jail. And yet you've got gangs stabbing people in the streets. Your car gets stolen. They don't give a damn. But they're literally putting in the thought control grid, and they are, certain places they're rolling it out more, but basically the whole thing is that, and I brought this up, I think last show we did, is that the command is no, you will own nothing and like it. We're not even going to promise to make your life better. Your life, you're going to live in a friggin' box. Ready Player One.
Bro, we don't even need the government. I mean, it's taxation without representation. We're not represented. In a lot of these other countries, they're not represented anymore. And that's a real problem for political power. This is a reason for mob violence, leaders' hypnotic power. Esterbrook says, someday, perhaps 50 or 150 years from today, our descendants will look back upon us with the same curiosity and wonder with which we regard our ancestors of a while back. Pasteur was held up to ridicule when he asserted that the germ might cause disease. Vesalius was almost burned at the stake when he dared cut up the human body to get some knowledge of anatomy. This book might well be read about hypnosis, well be read with benefit by everybody as an understandable and logical explanation of an abused subject. So
I would just read. There's a couple paragraphs.
We are them. We're 50 years ahead. Like we are looking back right now. That's funny.
But what's good though is he does say some things that are, I think I would say, are close to truth. So towards the bottom of that article, it says, quote, "It would be well for us to center our attention on this form of hypnotism, for it is nothing else. Never was it more dangerous. Radio and a controlled press are literally made to order for this type of leadership. When we talk about the world safe for democracy, we must realize that psychologically speaking, the world was never more unsafe for democracy. Group hypnotism, mob leadership, call it what you will, was never more easy than in this day of syndicated press and national hookup." So that's like that. And in fact, of course, again, you have the person warning against what they're probably behind designing and implementing. You know what I mean?
Read the next paragraph, Hans. It gets
Democracy
even
is
worse.
evil.
And just in case any of his readers feel that such hypnotical misuse can happen here, okay, Professor Esterbrooks writes, we must realize that it both can and will happen here unless we are eternally on guard. The problem facing us in this country is one of education, a realization that none of us has too much of the milk in human kindness in our veins. All of us are prejudiced, irrational, and this has an emotional basis. The highly emotional orator and mob leader is, from the psychologist's viewpoint, a much more effective hypnotist than any laboratory product. It is he who leads humanity by the nose into its bloody wars.
Wow.
So
Alex
yeah.
Jones, right, Hitler, right, all these people. Rah, rah, rah. Okay.
In our modern thing, look at this stupid war against Russia.
Right.
Like, people had to be hypnotized to do that because there's none of the money, if they overthrow Russia, which they're not going to do,
But
will ever come back to the average person, like the average proletariat or whatever bourgeois person back in the U.S.
but really, I mean, it's I mean,
That's a
first,
cleansing thing, right?
the thing is, and I mean, my big breakthrough was the whole thing in Libya, right? When
Mm.
but the Russian war, just to throw something out on that, is like, number one, Russia cannot lose. It's not something they can walk away from. It's like if Mexico started attacking Texas or something, right? And they take part of Texas, they start killing the Texans. That's what Ukraine did, right? And parts historically that were in Russia were given to this, Ukraine, and they're murdering the Russians. But there's no way they can lose. And because of it, they have by far the world's most powerful military. Now, Iran, before Russia would not deal with Iran because, the political situation. Now they're directly supplying Iran with stuff. You have Iran, China, Russia access. Russia has an incredibly powerful economy. Instead of crushing Russia, Europe is basically on its death throes, man. I mean,
All
Germany,
part of
almost
the
every city in
plan.
Germany is bankrupt. I mean, and they're reinstating the draft, and it's like I hate to say it, but the United States couldn't even they have now all of their troops are being rotated. They have the most advanced battle techniques. And the fact is, they have the most advanced weaponry and they have the most dedicated patriotic troops. And they all have battle experience. What's, pressing a button on a friggin' joystick? I just killed some terrorists. That's not stand in battle, face to face battle. So it is impossible. Barring destruction of the entire planet, for this to lead anywhere except for what? I mean, they've killed how many millions of Ukrainians? Millions. I mean, it's an absolute bloodbath and a genocide that never had a chance of succeeding, and it's obviously doesn't. Yet they're still pushing it, and it's like
Succeeding at what though? What is the
that's true.
true plan?
Yeah, unless it's like that, shifting of the world order to China,
Yes.
which seems to be like, oh, let's, I've been, going
China
around
and Russia working together now. Like they
going
didn't
around
used to do that, right?
going around the Rust Belt. America was like the strongest industrial power in the world. Now it's screwed. Right.
Right.
I mean, and what started in the 80s under
We're all
Reagan. Right?
vaxxed up and a bunch of trannies and like, I mean, what the hell? Like,
But we have safe spaces
right? Yeah.
and we're all special in our victimhood.
Our safe
Gotta-
space is behind that blade of grass with our gun.
It has to be a
Every one of us.
assault. Like, how else can you explain it?
Of course, yes. Right.
But there's no. I mean, the thing is, at least there used to be. So World War, whatever World War One, these. I mean, there was at least some, like even the Civil War was engineered, to a certain degree, whatever. But
Right.
at least there was a believable backstory. At least, okay, you find out it's lies, but at least there's something that has some belief. This stuff is just retarded, dude. I'm sorry to use the word moron. Sorry to
Oh,
align
can
with
we
Estabrook's,
define what a moron is? He's talking about how bad it is that there's all these morons, but this dude is in fact a moron. People that are eugenicists are morons because a moron is someone who cannot cognize moral truth. They falter in morality. That's why it's moron. That's why it's named that, because they can't understand morality. They're that stupid. They don't understand what moral right and wrong is. So all of these psychopaths are morons. Okay, let's just use the real words as they are.
This is just interesting. Esther Brooks was in a newspaper article in 1933 talking about war. So he was in Europe making dispatches. I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, I don't have like the close up of that, but he's mentioned in these other articles using hypnotism and this is an interesting. That's him on the right smoking. Can't really see it very well in this.
Your achiever
Picture.
receives new hypnotic type boost.
Yeah.
All right.
So
The blurb says psychologist George Hoban Estabrooks sits with the rest and a student in Hamilton. I think he's in Hamilton.
I just wanted to say another thing, that war is where we get shell shock from. Like, war is necessary to traumatize all the young males for the next thing that they're going to bring. You know, they had to do World War II to traumatize them into go home and breed and have electric kitchens and, you know, be part of capitalism. We won, you know, the world. And then and it like reframed how everybody thought, and like they came home from this terrible place, they can't think about it, and they're shell shocked, you know. And now we have this new understanding of what, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder, and even like trauma-based mind control, you know, like it is effectively breaking the legs of grok, you know what I mean? Like, that's what war does to people, and it traumatizes everybody.
This article is really interesting because it starts out techniques derived from hypnosis, but not hypnosis itself, are being used successfully on an experimental basis in a central New York high school to aid pupils who are underachievers. One technique is auto-suggestion. The pilot program was begun last year at Hamilton High School. This is 1969. And will be continued in the new academic year. The originator of the program and the technique is Dr. George H. Estabrooks, Professor Emeritus of Psychology. So he'd already done teaching of psychology at Colgate University. Estabrooks is a nationally recognized authority on hypnosis and career counseling. Goal of the counseling was to get youngsters to think more highly of themselves in regard to seeking academic success. Remember, in this document we're going through, he talked about being in disguise or in guise and different things. Like he was going to fake being at YMCA or whatever. So here's this thing where they're like this constant thing of the deep state filtering through kids and like teenagers, probably to find the right patsy or whatever they're doing.
Just like the GATE program, gifted and talented, whatever. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. So
that's the NASA, the GATE kids went to NASA and stuff. They would like bring them to the NASA place and did all kinds of stuff to them that they don't remember, you know, like
I don't have any memory. Do you have any amnesia? I sure do. I don't even know what happened.
Right. Oh my God, he just looks like he's hitting a cigarette. But I imagine you go like you're literally going for your guidance counseling. You end up being hypnotized by Estabrooks, and God, who knows what he's doing to your mind, man.
Of course, this was in 1968 too, right after the Summer of Love, like right in the main thick of it, right there.
Good point. Yeah.
Man.
Right
after year one was 66 for the Satanic Church, and then year one was 67 with the Rosemary's Baby, and then like, you know, this is the year one, I guess, of their like full-on mind control of everybody. And
power which dictators Mussolini, Hitler, and Stalin have over subjects may be mass hypnotism. Masters of the trance use it as social force. And so he's mentioned here in the article later. Let me see if I can find the actual quote. It's hard to read, but these, I mean, they put a lot of like effort into some of these, you know, visuals.
Isn't that the double cross? Like, isn't that like a cross with two crosses, like a double cross, right?
It's a double cross. It's also like, I mean, there's some weird, you can't zoom in on that, can you, William? I just want to see.
I'm trying to. I don't know.
The graphics are really weird in this article because you got the eyes, you know, like, look, there's like a weird thing coming out of his eye, like a nipple. Do you see that? Going under. Then what does it say? Boner? No. I can't read that word.
Dude, this is a weird Rorschach test for you, buddy.
No, I can't read it. It just looks like a
look closer at the boner, please.
What does it say?
I can't read it from here. Like
going under, coming out. A Texas
going under. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hypnotizing its prey. A chaparral bird seen at right. Wow. Did snakes hypnotize? Chaparral bird hypnotized by the rattlesnake shown at left, which is about ready to strike.
That was
Wow.
even in Roald Dahl's Ricky Tikki Tavi. I remember that because my kid loves that cartoon of that, and that's one of the things, like the Nag whatever, the evil snake. Don't look in its eyes because it will put you under hypnotism, and then you'll be taken, you'll be eaten. Yeah.
Well, but look, it looks like the, I mean, that's a, I don't, we're not going to
And
analyze it,
Roald
but
Dahl was one of them
Oh, it's
too.
important. This document's 1937, so this is right around the timeline
this is
of all that correspondence.
this is subliminal advertising, right? I mean, this is what
Oh,
subliminal
yeah.
messaging in this graphic. I mean, you don't read the article. There's enough in this weird graphic that's going to go in your brain. I mean, that eye, look at the eye on the right side, the eyebrows connected directly to the lady's brain, like it's pouring into her brain.
Right.
And what is that weird little, sorry to use what it looks, to me, it looks like a, I don't know what you call it, a nipple or a dimple coming, like the little pointer thing coming out of the eye. So I don't think it's even an eye. It's very weird.
It looks like it's separated, like the two eyes are not together. And the way that the lady's head comes up at a sharp line cut off, it divides those two eyes and makes like the one on the left eye on our right is the one that's dumping into her head. That's like the left-hand path, I don't know if people get that deep into it, but it does look like a double cross. I don't know, like that. Literally a double cross is,
George H. Esterbrooks, professor of psychology at Colgate University and an expert hypnotist himself, claims that the great use of hypnotism today lies in the field of psychological research, tool to probe subconscious mind. By producing symptoms of insanity in subjects, the disease may be studied without creating mental trouble, just as certain physical diseases are produced in field mice for the purpose of study in the laboratory. By creating these symptoms, explains Professor Esterbrooks, the psychologist is able to get a clear insight into the workings of the subconscious mind. He can study the causes of various nervous disorders, which are usually only exaggerations of normal mental behavior. Hypnotism, declares Professor Esterbrooks, has no great practical use outside of the laboratory. As an anesthetic, it can never compete with the various drugs. Aside from the usefulness of hypnotism in studying symptoms of insanity, Professor Esterbrooks grants that it is valuable in psychoanalysis. Quote, "It is a very strange thing that an individual in this hypnotic trance can recall events of his early years which have long since slipped from his conscious memory. Since many cases of mental disorders are based on experiences of childhood, the trance sometimes yields excellent results in curing mental ailments." And he kind of goes in. This is actually...
That's not the only reason they would learn how to do it and use it. I mean, obviously, these guys are criminals. We know why they're learning it. They want to control society with this information. But to the public, he's saying, "Oh, it's only useful in in therapy." Right?
Oh, just by the way, so I did look up the double cross, so it is used, but this is actually an inverted double cross. So an actual double cross, that small part will be above. So this is an upside down double cross.
Oh man, it's even more satanic.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, right.
Oh man.
And
good catch. I'm glad you looked that up. Thank you.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, think about it. At that time, now we're much more sensitive, sensitized to. This is pretty early type of subliminal advertising communication. So there's like a hypnotic again through that weird graphic with that lady who looks like she aged like 20 years when she comes out. She looks like, I don't know.
She's not smiling anymore. She's smiling the first, but then like, and it's also got that Big Brother kind of, the eyes are like the Big Brother eye, it's got that kind of, man. But anyway, so the power which dictators Mussolini, Hitler, and Stalin wish they had over subjects is what our government has right now. And what many of the governments around the world, all those people wore masks, all those people took jabs, they took multiple ones. They kept going back, and they hated each other, they hated their neighbors, shame on them for not being like me. That is the key right there. That's, I mean, and I know we talked about it earlier. I kind of mentioned how in 2021, when people were disagreeing over, "Oh, you can't come in here," and like, "Oh, my neighbor, I hate my neighbor. He's not wearing a mask." But now it's like I hate my neighbor because he likes Trump, and I like the way that they hate so much that they're ready to pull a gun and like, you know what I mean? It's gone much farther than where it was, is all I'm trying to say. Like the progression, it seems like, oh, it's okay now. Nobody's like pissed off anymore. We're back to normal. But then when one little thing flashes off, people trigger out and they just like, like little kids, we are wound up real tight and it doesn't take much. And they know how to pull the strings. You know what I'm saying? Like these,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that I've noticed just during my wonderful Christmas holidays and the hanging out with the junk meth head junkyard at my luxury cabin, no, but it's like literally people. I'm in the grocery store, right? Multi-million dollar, billion-dollar chain. The self checkout, it doesn't work properly. It takes a friggin' it takes like an hour, half an hour. People just they just accept this frustration. Like where I stayed, there was all these. They didn't have the key code. I couldn't get in. There's all these things. I mean, just kind of ridiculous things wrong. But they have a thing. How to rate our thing. Blah blah blah. And so they're guilting you into giving them a good review. Yet, so people tolerate these types of endless frustrations that are unnecessary. They just eat it up. You see, like in the grocery store, I'm like, why are why can't you guys get this system running properly? I mean, but people are just like, okay. But then I had some dude I'm
They're
walking down.
damaged in their brain from
Yeah,
the jab.
but
Okay.
the other thing is, I'm crossing the street, walking down my street. This dude, some dude, I'm walking up to my house. It's not like, it's like one, right there. That dude tries to run me over. And then it's like, dude, I'm right here. And the guy, then he flips me off and he's like, he's all red with rage. And you see this level of rage in driving in small things where people suddenly lash out, yet they
Yeah.
accept corporate practices that are absolutely they just eat, they don't even notice it. It just goes in background of awareness. But yet when it comes to like normal social human dealings, people just friggin' flip out.
Right. I mean, there's the kindergartners can't speak intelligibly, and we talk to other parents about it, and they're like, "Oh, they're just kids." They I just read that the government took crawling off of the list of milestones for babies. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're slowly being dumbed down to like Eloy, where we're just like perfect victims ready to be eaten by the evil ones.
All the frustration is projected outwards, right? So, you're driving, I'm here, I'm walking to my house, door of my house. You're going to run me over. What are you going to save 2 minutes? And then you almost run me over. I have to jump out of the way. Then you're going to slop and float out and flip me off. Now, I'm not going to enter in that guy's rage, rage fetish, but you see this a lot and where people will just get really pissed off in normal situations. So you've lost the glue of the social. You've
Yes,
lost the
yes.
social glue. Yet people eat these like corporate stuff. With the AI lady. It's like you spend 2 hours on the phone. You know. They're not gonna, just what are you supposed to do? And I always swear at them. They're probably monitored me. I say some pretty nasty things to the AI chatbots. I'm sure that's why that's why PayPal probably canceled my 3 accounts. But it's like, but how can you accept this? I'm paying you money or you have my money, and yet I'm supposed to accept this. But, but yet I accept this. I'll accept these inconveniences and this continuous, endless, surveillance, this, that, continuous, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But
Digital ID comes along right
yeah,
after they're outlawing words on the internet right over there in England. Like, and you can't get a job without this digital ID, and we'll take away your digital ID if you don't the way we want you to think. Like, yeah, dude, incrementally, and they're just taking it and just taking it, and they're pushing and pushing.
frustration is projected into the social space where you should at least have some decorum, right? And then if you can't, like, somebody who has nothing to do with you, yet you're gonna, like, this guy told me, he said his brother has cancer and he was walking slow. The guy tried to run him over, and then he starts yelling at him. He's like, dude, I'm about to die. I'm in a walker and you're trying to run me down. And this is really shows some. I'm just throwing it out there because I've just noticed this as a sort of a trend. But I think this connects directly with what we're talking about. I
Right.
would.
I think so.
And like if everybody's in their solipsistic little world of everything I care about is all that's important, I can run you over and, whatever. Like F you for being in my way, It's like this like it's like first step to Satanism, like anyway. Yeah, the YouTube thing, that's like private company here in America, where the art of the personal story says they've been censoring on YouTube for a long time, outlawing words, right? People can't even say like they can't even say abuse or whatever else, the real words of the scientific things that are happening can't say that, so they have to like make up words. But I mean, in England, they are like Hans was saying, they're locking them up, and if they have your name and your ID that's connected to your work, like just like what they were doing with the bank thing in Canada, they figured out who was protesting and they shut down their money, like this full on control, right? And this, because that's for when they can't control us with the mind control anymore. And everybody's falling out of the lies. Nobody's watching TV anymore. So they got to lock down another way, so they got to take over our finances, make it so that we can't travel. Like I'm not brave enough to get on a plane anymore looking at Boeings falling out of the sky, like, so I'm not going to take their digital ID. That's also, maybe I can, because I mentioned it, everybody can refuse still the real ID. We can just have a normal state license, like I don't know, people that choose to have a license or whatever. But you can refuse, and then when they go and see those numbers, they're going to have to find another way, because that real ID is the first step to digital ID. People don't know that here in America, but they threaten your flight ability, and then you comply. Once you complied, they even call it compliant. This one's compliant, and that one's non-compliant with your picture. Like I had to get, like, I lost my license and I had to get a new one, and I told them I'd like this one to be non-compliant, please. And all the ladies behind the desk laughed. They ha 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 ha. And then they went and looked on the computer. They were like, "Oh, I guess you can choose to not." I was like, "Good. Yeah, that'll be mine then." And mine doesn't have the little star. So everybody can choose. They can still say no. Everybody has that power still here in America. So please do so. You can go get a new license. It's only like $20 and just say non-compliant, please. Then all the cops will see that you're non-compliant when they look at you. Anyway, I'll shut up here.
Should we, William, you want to dive back into the
Yeah, let's go back.
article?
Hello,
We
William.
made it
Sorry.
to 2 hours. We've got
We-
200 live viewers. Thanks everybody for listening.
Wonderful. Thank you for
A lot of great
listening.
comments.
William, sorry if you want to talk more. I don't mean to like step on your.
No, I don't.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
no, it's okay. We're all good. We're at the 2-hour mark, guys.
All right.
What
Well,
do
you
what
wanna
do you?
just
What's
do-
the stamina? What's
I've
Yeah,
been
just-
drinking coffee.
drinking blue tea? I'm
Yeah,
still
yeah.
alive.
So, like,
for some time at least.
I'll try to keep my mouth shut if we want to get dive in. But if you're getting tired, we can stop. It's all good.
what do you guys want to do? Do you want to
maybe-
answer some comments?
Maybe can we
Sure.
just do like maybe just like 3-4 pages of the document and then do that? Is that okay? Or
Yeah,
just-
sure. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
All
I think that you start like the May 1st, 1939. That's skipping that
May
one small.
1st. What is that?
This should be the next one after that.
This one.
Yeah. So okay. All right. Because I think there's one that's kind of interesting. But
The one that starts, it was certainly a pleasure to see you.
no, it says now I think I am really making progress.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, before
What
that.
number are we at? What page is that?
That's 263 on my document.
Yeah.
263.
Colgate University is the heading. Dear Mr. Hoover.
Gotcha. Yes.
Okay.
Go
William,
for
do
it.
you want to read
No,
it?
go ahead if you want to do it. I'm happy to do it if you don't want to.
All right, I'll do it. I'll read all day, man. I'll just keep
Do it.
talking. I won't stop talking until they. I don't know until they.
Can't stop. Won't stop.
Dude, what
I
if they?
mean,
You know, just one thing, not to freak everybody out. A little bit of paranoia, fear porn, but what I'm seeing, the way people are responding. what extent do people just like, even you see with the masking, you just suddenly have these like friggin' zombie shock troops, right? You just turn them on and you just like, God, I mean, you know what I mean? You got all your, whatever MI6, your satanic Nicaraguan gangs, we got about a lot smaller. Is there? I'm sure some of them are nice people. If they're not trying to hack you with a machete, just kidding.
There's good people on both sides.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is that, I mean, but it doesn't, I mean, it's I mean, I'm seeing where, people are in, if you see literally people, if you really observe closely, if you have the cojones to do so, you can see people are in a trance state. A lot of people completely in a trance state. They're really not aware of the world around them. Not everybody, but when you become like, if you're not in, it's easy to fall into it because we have, natural parity. We have, a group. We're gonna get, we're gonna entrain with the group brainwaves naturally, just as a, social, as a whatever, as a biological adaptation. But I mean, if you wake up from it, see it, you can see, and then usually what happens, the security guard will stop following you. Seriously, like, because this person is awake. They're not, it
Yeah.
doesn't, and you're not even doing anything, and it's really weird. And I don't, and then you said, it's something. It may not
It's
be.
like they live. Like I posted 2
Yeah,
old shows
yeah, dude.
with Visigoth, who literally talked to the guy who wrote the science fiction story that They Live was based on. So check those out in my archives. But like, I
That's
forgot
great.
his name offhand, but like, still relevant, still resonant. And that state is like still resonates with people who are awake and not. Goes back to the concept of the Grockian clown. Like, it's really bad. I mean, I spent people who like in my family talking to him over the holidays. It's just like, whoa, we are in a completely different mindscape. Like, it is totally different. What you know and what I know is like, I don't even know how. It's like you've been just like Bill Casey, that you've been given a full set of knowledge that's all fake. It's that bad. The problem is that our lexicon, we refer to things actually that are pseudo kind of semi-fiction, like 1984, for words that can describe what's happening, but there's words aren't. We're grasping for it. You can see it just in our dialogue and our exchanges. What's happening? Oh, I referenced this film, They Live. I referenced 1984. I referenced Condon. But there's like something even more profound, and like, you talk about different types of people or something, but there's different types of outlooks and different types of like understandings of things philosophically that are so different that it's a trip. And the other thing is, Dick, you can hear people who've indulged in the alternate media because they can finish other people's sentences and they know things. Like the Candace, like I was at a bar and the bartender knew the Candace investigation, but the other people were like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, well, because I know that the whole story about Charlie Kirk is totally fake. But it's just interesting to see that in real life and see how surreal this is. You're literally in a science fiction film.
And one
Hey,
thing that,
it's you see them get put in the bubble, and it's like you watch them get entranced. They're all believing like the whole like in 9/11 and the other ones, and you watch them fall into the trance, and there's nothing you
We
can
got attacked
do.
by 19 terrorists, you bad.
Yeah,
And
let's
it's like,
turn the
whoa,
Middle East to glass.
I
Yeah,
know people who still believe that.
and they
dude.
found the passport, magic passports, but
What did that news commentator say when he met him? If you can believe
If
that.
you can
Like
believe
literally
that,
says it on.
dude.
or the best one is
He
the
probably said that,
BBC.
if you can believe that.
Dude, the BBC host is talking about, and tower number,
Oh, 7.
as 7 has gone down and it's still there. And then, like, like,
Yeah.
oops, you got the timing off. You can see it in the background. But no, but here's a distinction though. Like, okay, me, right? Whatever my opinion is, right? If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I mean, we can have a discussion or not, and you can go. But even if it doesn't really affect me, it's just like, okay, maybe I pity you for being a Grockian clown, maybe, and maybe I'll just laugh at you, but in my sleeve or something. But I'm not going to react. You bring up something, you go against whatever, maybe Russia, it could be this, that. You go against them, and they're going to flip out. They're going to, a lot of times, they're going to respond with an anger, caustic, or even like, you're not my friend anymore, whatever. And like, if you don't, like, I have an open mind, you're welcome to believe what you want. I mean, if I have the energy or will, maybe I can try to convince you, or maybe I won't waste my time. But I don't. if you don't believe what I believe, that doesn't have any impact on me whatsoever. None. But yet, so many
Right.
people have you noticed this? Like, if you go, they have the certain lines of belief system. If you push that, they're gonna like, whoa, you know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
shows that's the cognitive dissonance kicking in. That is also a hypnotic programming defense, almost right, because you get that defensive and aggression. You can disagree with what I believe. Okay, well, here's the factual basis for what I believe. You disagree? That's you're dumb. I'm smart. You know,
But
that's it.
then they
I'm
but
just
they
kidding.
band but they band together against you because you're one of them, and then they all band together with their like, "We are us," and then they, "Oh, we love us," and then they turn their evil anger towards you because you're the other. And then when we're all trying to be free together, they just use their democracy against us and say that we're a bunch of deplorables and you know, like whatever, paint us up like, oh, you listen to Alex Jones or you're like a Trump, you like Trump. Like, I mean, I'd tell somebody some truth and then they'll be like, whatever, QAnon, and just walk off all proud, like they told me some shit. Like, man, it's bad.
No,
Like,
it's bad. It's really bad out there.
Trust the plan, dude. Come on.
yeah, right.
This is
The
a leg.
plan.
This is
Oh, dude.
Tesseract chess.
Right. The Tesseract is the plan. That's right. That's the real plan.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read here it go. Okay, now I think I am really making progress. In other words, I appear to have stirred up somewhat of a battle within the ranks of the profession. Mr. M.F. Erickson, State Hospital, Eloise, Michigan, takes violent exception. Notice violent exception to Roland's recent article in the Journal of Abnormal and Social Psychology, and I am backing Roland. If I know anything about Erickson, he will immediately start to experiment to prove Roland's contention. I have also succeeded in interesting another individual whose name I would wish you note. 3 years ago, Professor W.R. Wells left Syracuse University because of a retrenchment of funds. He has now been recalled and taken up his old position on the staff. Wells is, in my opinion, one of our best authorities on hypnotism, being the author of several works on so called waking hypnotism. So that's where you're hypnotized and you don't even know you're hypnotized. Right? That's really important. And that's what a lot of people, I think that's what you get from the media is waking hypnotism. Anyways, he's a great chap for experiments and is certainly not afraid of the novel, meaning the new, right? We had a psychological conference at Cornell the other night, and I was able to talk at length with Professor Wells, who has returned from a semester at Harvard, where he was observing the work of White and Murray. He expressed himself as very definitely interested in one or two problems which I suggested, and I have no doubt that he will succeed in getting far more work done than I ever could hope to accomplish with my administrative duties. Okay, I do wish you would note him as another very useful possibility in case you ever need some people for any project. I think we'd have to do some research to understand what he means by that. Um, so this is talking about the seance and stuff. I don't know if you guys want to. Do you want to read the next one? I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'll
Sure.
take that.
Do you want to do it, Sean? Do you want to
Yeah, sure. Where are we at? We're at 260. We're at
Dear Wells.
Dear Mr. Hoover was the last one, and then the next one is
Dear Wells.
Dear Wells. All right. Dear Wells, it was certainly a pleasure to see you once again at Cornell, and above all, to note how well you seem to have taken this whole matter of displacement and replacement. There are one or two points in this matter of the application of hypnotism to crime which are particularly in need of further investigation. Frankly, I don't see that they can be proven, for proof would involve criminal behavior or some on somebody's part, and that is, of course, out of the question. Okay. The government doesn't do criminal behavior. All right. But anyway, here we go. On the other hand, I think we can approximate an answer, and they say that the implications point in such and such a direction. As I told you at Cornell, Erickson expresses grave doubt on the following 2 points, which, in my opinion, are of outstanding importance to this phase of the problem. First, can we remove all knowledge from the individual that he has ever been hypnotized? My own experiments would seem to indicate that this is possible. In fact, relatively easy. Erickson points out that under any real emotional stress, such as that which might be associated with the third degree, the former seance would be recalled to his memory. Perhaps he is right, but I see no possible way of proving it beyond taking certain evidences as we can amass. If you can contribute anything on this point, it would be most helpful. Second, Erickson expresses very grave doubt that an individual can be rendered unsusceptible to hypnosis by other people. Here again, my experience seems to indicate that by suggestion, in the hypnotic state, it is quite possible to render the subject absolutely immune to suggestions from other people, certainly that of being thrown into the trance. Uh, on the other hand, what would happen under emotional stress, I don't know. It seems to me that the crux of the matter hinges on these two questions rather than on Roland's contention in a letter to me that none of his subjects could be fooled into committing murder or into criminal acts. I am quite convinced he is wrong here, as Roland's experiments show, and as indeed my own have demonstrated many times. Whether or not, however, having committed these criminal act, or shall we say, having been fooled into doing so, or doing into so doing by his great trust in the integrity of the operator, it is then possible to remove all knowledge of ever having been hypnotized and render it impossible for anyone to hypnotize him in the future is different. I am morally certain that it can be done. But I am equally convinced that the only definite answer could be obtained by actually having someone render himself very liable to the eyes of the law. If you can think of, if you can think this thing out in your spare time and contribute an experiment or two, I would be most grateful. Cordially yours.
By the way, he does have he has Roland crossed out. I think that's Erickson or some other person.
Oh,
So
okay. I
yeah,
thought, okay.
but so
Yeah.
Roland is
It's,
basically
yeah, it's written in Erickson. You're right. It's an E. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, he's saying that people can be hypnotized to commit criminal acts and not have a memory of it. And can you just go ahead and just let's get some people to commit crimes?
Yeah,
know?
please.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Do
that's
some
what he's saying, man.
experiments. 1939, guys. 1939. Incredible stuff. And if you go back to these kind of things here, this is like a meeting they did in Oswego. This is how the Seth woman reached out to them. But this is Oswego from 65. And he's still talking. I'll have to get this so we can read it. But Erickson and Esther Brooks are still friends. So they were friends for 30 years, exchanging stuff. And all this stuff at this hypnotism conference, it's like all for public consumption. It's all like, oh yeah, we're really helping out. And they're talking about like replacing people's brains and amnesia and then blocking insight from another hypnotist. Like in 39, so important.
I mean, oh man.
And
It's
copies
so amazing that we
destroyed.
have this on the
Literally
recording.
says copies destroyed on the bottom left-hand
Yeah,
side.
it's
Like, get rid of these copies, man. Don't let anybody see this. Like,
Yeah, don't say it on Wake the Dead or Resonant State.
never. Then I think he sent something back. I think this is from Hoover, because I think that's an H there on the bottom of the page. Dr. Esterbrooks, thanks for your letter, May 22, 39. I'm looking forward to receiving a copy of Dr. Erickson's manuscript when it's published, though. Erickson must have put out a book around this time, is my guess. I haven't really validated, but here's another one. Hoover includes 2 copies of a letter I'm sending to Dr. Erickson, Eloise State Hospital. He's just submitted to me a manuscript listing 31 cases, or shall we say, unethical suggestions to various people. So he did 31 cases of unethical suggestions. All his results are at sharp variance with those of Roland. As soon as he publishes this, I will take care that you either get a reprint or that I at least tell you where the article appears. Wow. Right to Hoover. like right on the letterhead, all that stuff, stamped.
Ethical.
Incredible stuff.
These guys.
Okay, I'll read this one. May 22, 1939. Erickson. Dear Erickson, I'm returning your manuscript. The work is easily the most significant that has been done in this field. In my opinion, you should write it up much as it is, without committing yourself too far as to the significance of facts. In other words, I would get a good, strong anchor out to leeward. I have a very strong suspicion that many of these results are really contingent on the personality of the operator. For example, yours contrasts very definitely with those of Roland. Another example occurs to me, namely the results on the ergograph obtained by Nicholson and by Williams. I think I have the two right. The sharp contrast obtained by these two investigators, it seems to me, can probably best be explained on the basis of motivation. Sidis, I recall, makes this observation in one of his books, pointing out that with the same subject, he could obtain very different degrees of acquiescence merely by changing his tone of voice. Of course, I have repeatedly pointed out to my superior, Dr. Cutter, the technique you use is above all things the technique I would avoid in the particular type of criminal suggestion in which you happen to be most interested. Where you run into direct conflict with the will of the subject, I would always suspect that results would be more or less like your own. For that reason, I was much surprised with Roland's experiments. Frankly, I would have expected his subjects either to have awakened immediately or to have behaved more like your own. But facts are facts. I will be much interested to see his further work. My entire contention is that if proper rapport is established, then at least a certain number of subjects can literally be fooled into committing a crime. Provided the subject is quite convinced that you mean no harm and that you are using him merely to demonstrate a point, then my own inadequate experimental work would seem to indicate that he would put fake poison into my coffee and would forge a check which he knew I was going to tear up immediately and would snap a revolver loaded with dummy ammunition at an individual. That's Sirhan Sirhan right there. They're literally talking about Sirhan Sirhan's ex. They think that he didn't shoot any bullets. This is incredible. This seems to me that the success of such experiments as those I have just mentioned depend entirely on the attitude of the subject towards the operator. Frankly, I've never tried the sort of thing you suggest because of a certain tenderness of mind on my own part. So you're a piece of shit, Eric.
He's so
I'm
sensitive.
not. Yeah. I do everything possible to avoid coming into conflict with the will of the subject, but to persuade him that he is taking part in a very interesting little experiment which has no particular significance, which he is doing more or less as a favor to myself. Can you suggest any way in which it would be possible to check further on this matter of rendering the subject immune to hypnotism by another operator or by having any knowledge of ever having been hypnotized? It seems to me that those 2 points are rather crucial. Take, for example, Roland's work. The subject quite evidently was willing to throw sulfuric acid in his face. If he had thrown the glass as well, I only hope the invisible glass would have protected the operator. Granted this much for the sake of argument, although you may not grant this much, would Roland now have been able to commit the perfect crime by the cover-up methods I have suggested? I certainly hesitate to take issue on a point like this with yourself. It is the type of experiment which I'm particularly unqualified to carry out. I am not hard-boiled enough. I don't think we can really answer the question until we are allowed to operate under war conditions where nobody asks questions, but perhaps we could approximate an answer. Once again, allow me to congratulate you on this work. Had I attempted this, I would certainly be in the Utica State Hospital myself at this particular moment. On the other hand, I wouldn't commit myself too far when I write up results. Keep a line of retreat open just in case. With your permission, I'm sending a copy of this letter to Mr. Hoover, since I'm anxious that he will have all sides of the question filed in his office. Cordially yours, Esper. Incredible talk.
Wow.
That is an intense missive right there. I mean, that is, I mean, he's talking, and and again, you have to see his language, the way what he expresses to Hoover about Erickson and how he talks to Erickson direct. But who knows, right? But he's saying like, you know, nobody asks any questions. Throwing sulfuric acid, committing crimes, committing murder. Like there it is. I mean, and this is, is there any right there? I mean, even though he's so soft, he's got a soft heart. He's such a
I
big
am
teddy
not. He's
bear.
not hard boiled enough. Wait till you get a hard
But
boiled
he's
person
waiting
like
for
Erickson.
war. Like, oh, we
Erickson
need
changed his
war.
wife's freaking personality and institutionalized her, and then started having personal relations with this 20-year-old, sidekick, and then hypnotized her. Like that's hard boiled, bro. Like that's what I think happened. That's my opinion. I don't have any proof of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, your opinion.
The
Don't,
facts
don't
seem
sue
to
me.
indicate
Right.
that, yeah. Somebody
But
from Erickson's Kids I know or something. I don't
look
know.
at where these documents started. It was like, oh, I think mind control might be possible. Oh, look, scopolamine. Oh, look, hypnotism, right? And now all they're talking about is how can we make someone be a criminal? That's
How
like
can
all they're talking
and
about.
then they don't know it, right? They don't even know.
And and have it so they don't know. Right, exactly. And then they're like frothing at the bit, waiting for wartime so they can have all kinds of subjects to experiment on, and no one knows why. Oh, they
Nobody asking
disappeared.
questions.
Oh, they died on the battlefield. Oh, whoops. And look at like the Japanese, like unit whatever 731 or whatever, where they're doing experiments on how they can freeze a person and how they can kill a person and put like air bubbles in their veins and kill them. And they studied all of this stuff. Like, I mean, and look at the, Mengele and the Nazis and stuff with their twins experiments and all those things. That's what they want. That's what they're hoping for.
They want the wartime conditions. He
Oh,
literally says that. I don't think we can. They know the war's coming. I don't think we can really answer the question until we are allowed to operate under war conditions where nobody asks questions.
wow, dude.
Literally,
And they were paying for Hitler, right? They were the guys, the Wall Street guys, are the ones that got Hitler his job doing what he's doing. And all those scientists came over here to work for us. It was all a big operation,
Bro,
They
this is
planned.
incredible. This is one of the most important misses of all of it.
Yeah.
In 27.
I'm glad we didn't stop. I'm glad we got that one.
Yeah, maybe just do a couple more. Let's dial this in because I'm like, this is actually pretty. We're getting to the meat, we're getting to the meat off the bones here,
Yeah.
and who knows they didn't get those WPA workers and the sexy secretary to be like a, whatever honeypot.
Or the CCC workers.
Yep,
you're talking about?
yep, CCC, back in the beginning. But
Right.
anyways, so this is Estabrooks, and you could see him almost like he's just like chomping at the bit, like he's like, yeah, like he's happy, man. He's like jazzed up. He's like, even though he's got a soft little heart, tender.
He's not hard boiled enough.
I'm so sensitive. Oh my God.
That's
I
the
just
real
couldn't do
Satanists,
that.
though. That's not the people that are
That's
like,
part of like
wearing
the
a black
scam,
t-shirt. Like,
part of
yeah.
the deception. It's
Right.
part of the guys. Like they're all in guys, but we got to keep Hoover informed. He says at the end.
Yeah.
And these guys are at
Right.
hypnotism conferences 30 years from now. It's just off the charts.
Right.
And then stuff that they're releasing, they probably already had, releasing in 1970. New technique. It's been around for 40 years.
Right.
And but there's no MK Ultra, dude. Anyways, I'll read this next one. If you don't mind, I'll do it in
Please do.
sensitive voice.
Yeah, don't be hard boiled.
I won't be hard boiled. I got to show the emotion and that tender, soft-hearted nature of Estabrooks. Dear Mr. Hoover, I'm a little afraid that you will feel abnormal psychology has finally gone to my head when you read this. Please do realize that I don't take myself too seriously with this particular proposition. I merely submit it for what it is worth. Your knowledge of the actual situation will decide whether it is worth anything or absolutely nothing. I suspect it is the latter. You probably recall the details of the experiment by Rowland in the January issue of the Journal of Abnormal Psychology. Startling sort of thing. Where using invisible glass, he demonstrated that he would reach for an angry rattlesnake or would throw sulfuric acid in the experimenter's face. Evidently an uncontrollable impulse which he simply cannot resist. Frankly, I would have not thought it possible had not an experimenter of Rowland's ability obtained such results. Now for a little melodrama. An American, a British, and a French submarine have all come to grief in the last 2 months. From the purely experimental point of view, I see no reason why a high grade hypnotic subject acting on the basis of post hypnotic suggestion might not have tampered with some of the very delicate contrivances necessary to the proper functioning of the submarine. To be sure, he would have killed himself in the process, but Roland's subject was perfectly willing to reach for that rattlesnake. Please don't think I take this subject too seriously, but if there could be any basis of fact in it, I so see no reason why it is impossible, then obviously the further implications are pretty serious. If a man could do this with a submarine, he might do the same with a battleship. Well, so that's implying that submarines, they may have actually been experimental subjects. Okay, anyways, go.
Right. Can I just bring up Russ Dizdar one more time here, guys? Like that's what Russ is talking about. And Russ was saying that there's like 3 or 4 generations since the Nazis. He focused on the Nazi, like he knows it went back to Babylon, this mind control, trauma-based mind control, satanic generational stuff. But the Nazis made it science. They turned it into a thing that, and they, all of them that he was dealing with had like German alters that knew how to speak this stuff. And in his book, he talks about, a dad just like gets a call on a phone and then he hangs up the phone and kills his whole family and goes and does some evil thing and then kills himself. This is what I mean. Somebody would never kill their whole family, but in Roland's exercise, they might do such a thing. It's so horrific, but their mind is taken over. They can't resist. They are total slave robot.
Right. I think that's what he's saying. That's Roland's experiment.
Right.
And the Journal of Abnormal and Social Psychology. They will throw the snake or the sulfuric acid at you.
Right.
He doesn't believe it. Look at the intro of what a weasel Esterbrook is. I'm a little afraid. I don't take myself too seriously. I submit it for what it's worth. Your knowledge is better than me, but it may be absolutely nothing. I suspect it's the latter. And then, by the way, I can get somebody to involuntarily throw sulfuric acid on some hapless person. I know how to do it now. We know how to do it. And it might have something to do. Maybe there was some submarine accident or something. I don't know.
Well, no, I think there were so there were like 3 submarines that went down in similar circumstances. Now, the next one, if you contextualize it with getting subjects to do some criminal acts, he just describes how it could be done in the next document. I don't know if you want to read that next one, William. All right.
I'll get it.
One of you guys go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go. Okay, this one is one on second thought, with your permission. Is that what you're talking about? Is that the one?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okay. Dear Mr. Hoover, on second thought, with your permission, I will follow up my former letter with a more detailed analysis of the situation. Of course, I do not for one moment imagine this is what happened to the 3 submarines, but it is something which might very easily have happened. In my former notes, I have pointed out the fact that it is very easy to induce hypnosis by a disguised method, working under the front of a psychogalvanic reflex or any other piece of psychological apparatus. Your own lie detector would give the very best possible smokescreen behind which to carry on. It is then very easy to remove all knowledge of ever having been hypnotized and make it impossible for anyone else to hypnotize that particular subject. Now, let us suppose that I have such a subject and mark you, they are very easy to get. The rate is about 1 in 5 of the average population, and hypnotism is childishly simple in the hands of an expert. So we will suppose that we have my subject. In this case, it was an American seaman. I then impress upon him that he is aiding me in some very important experiments for the intelligence department, and that I need his fullest cooperation. I would further explain that I am trying to impress upon you folks the real danger which might arise from hypnotism in warfare, and that his cooperation will be absolutely necessary in the experiment which I am now about to propose. I then tell him in the post-hypnotic suggestion that 4 minutes after the submarine submerges on June 1, he will suddenly have an irresistible impulse to throw switch A. I know nothing about submarines, but switch A will, of course, be something which will produce a serious accident. I have my assistant present and explain to him, or I have my assistant present and explain to him that, of course, I am no fool. Switch A will have been disconnected, short-circuited, or something, so that when he does throw switch A, nothing whatever will happen. He is simply demonstrating an experiment. It, it will be actuated by the most patriotic of impulses when he throws the switch in question. Under these circumstances, I am quite convinced that the subject, with that faith in the operator which seems to go in the hypnotic state, would do just as I suggested. At any rate, I would certainly not like to be aboard the submarine in question. Once again, don't take me too seriously. I don't for one moment imagine this is how it happened, but I am quite convinced that this is how it might have happened, and may someday will be clever enough to play just that brick on something more important than a submarine. Cordially yours, G.H. Estabrooks. Teach him how to fly planes into buildings, maybe?
Dude, what a
Just a
slime
say.
ball, you know.
Yeah,
And
wow, dude.
I just want to, this next one, the next one is like, this is fun. It seems like there's a little bit, you know what I mean? It's almost like flirting, like, oh, do you like tight jeans?
I
No.
have that
Don't take me too
subject.
seriously.
I'll show it to you under my kimono.
I hate tight jeans because they make me look. They're so hard to wear. Oh, well, it might have happened, but it didn't. But then maybe it did. Anyways, so this is Hoover writing back to Estabrooks, July 12th, 1939. Dear Dr. Estabrooks, permit me to acknowledge receipt of your letters of June 19th and 27th and July 6th, 1939. I read with great interest the hypothesis which you put forth concerning the sinking of submarines. I realize, of course, that you are only suggesting things
Sure.
that could conceivably happen upon the basis of your experiments and the experimentation of others, and that you are not suggesting that such a situation actually did occur in any of the recent submarine disasters. So you have three submarine disasters. I think were they all well, I think they're all on the same day. So, and they all happen because of basically someone throwing switch A, right? Somebody, the
Right.
crew, whatever they did, whatever, open the hatches or whatever, you know what I mean?
3
And
accidents on the same day is obviously intentional, right?
yeah,
And that shows the rest of the world, see what we can do, right?
yeah. And of course, and they could just be older submarines. They don't care about the crew. Just let them sink.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
three different countries too. It's not just what is it, America, France, and England? Was it something like that? Okay, anyways,
Right.
um, so I'm not suggesting that such a situation actually did occur in the recent submarine disasters. I appreciate your interest in forwarding these theories to me, and your letters are being retained in file for possible future reference in connection with the general subject matter of hypnotism.
For us to read here today on the
Yeah.
subject matter of hypnotism.
Well, and just note that earlier he's saying, well, if we could get some people to experiment with, if they don't mind breaking the law, right? If you could offer up three subjects, I think he mentions three subjects, right? A few letters back, right? He's asking,
Right.
So this seems a little funky, right? And it seems a little off.
Coded language.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, we could do some more research on that, but I don't know. So yeah, I'll leave it there. But this seems pretty. This is pretty. I don't know. It's kind of
Damning.
hardcore, man.
Right,
I
yeah.
don't know. Um,
They're headed into war. They're talking about this. One of the interesting things is it validates the earlier letter that Estabrook sent out, validates this idea that people will do things under the trance if they think that they're just doing something. It's not against the law or against their will. I just want you to flip the switch A, right? They don't know that it could blow up the entire ship. They just go, I want you to do switch A. So the real malevolence, the evil mind is in the operator, not the those who are operated on. See how that works. So that's
This
what Extra Brooks is relaying. Yeah.
this also validates Nathan Reynolds' story and Gray Area Monarch story, and other people that I've had on my show talking. Nathan Reynolds was abused by evil people, and then when they turned him into a weapon, they would show him the file and be like, "This guy's an evil predator. He hurts kids," and he'd be like, "Let me at him." Let me go kill this dude. He's like, I'm helping the cause, right? He was under the illusion that he was working for good guys or whatever. And uh, just like here, like the guy throwing switch A thinks that he's helping, by being the most patriotic ever, by pulling switch A, that validates all these stories.
yeah, I did look up. So I was mistaken. They're the same day, but I got two of the submarine accidents. So June 1st, 1939, the British submarine HMS Thetis, THETIS, sank during sea trials, resulting in the loss of 99 lives due to a combination of human error and design flaws. Okay, but there was human error. Someone opened the escape hatch when they're underwater. Okay,
Wow.
and then additionally, May 23rd, 1939, the USS Squalus sank during sea trials. So these are all trials, right? So there you go. With 26 men losing their mind, the USS Squalus incident was a tribute to rags blocking the main induction valve. Sabotage. So all three of these submarines died during sea test trials. Somebody opened the escape hatch underwater, and then someone else stuffed something with rags. And another thing he says is that the person will be hypnotized and think it's some special, it's patriotic duty, right? So he mentions that they'll be happily to do it. So it does kind of seem a little fishy. I mean, they all were just sunk by sabotage by the crew. All these
It was a
accidents.
test of their mind control, not a test of the ship. They were testing and it was a display to everybody, just like the Charlie Kirk new weapon to explode people's throats from a distance, the air burst or whatever. And just like 9/11 was, look how we can dissolve a building. This is showing the whole world, look how we can mind control. Look how we can kill our own soldiers with their own, like
It's a
the people
weapon of
that are
war.
in the
It goes
know.
back to Dr. Yen Lo, all the way to
Yes.
the beginning of
Yeah,
Manchurian Candidate.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and so again, you got somebody opening the escape hatch underwater without whatever. Okay, yeah, maybe
In a
the design
submarine.
shouldn't permit that, but somebody pressed the button to open it, and then someone stuffed rags. And so that I mean, they stuff rags in the intake. I don't know much about submarines, but I mean, whatever they did caused the submarine to sink.
It's something
So,
inaccessible,
so
right,
and
exactly.
these are both direct and directed acts of sabotage. They're not air like, oh, I screwed up. No, like, oh, I'm going to press this button and the whole submarine's going to flood. I'm going to kill 99 people. Oops. You know what I mean? So that
And it's our own army, it's not infiltration by someone else's warrior over here doing sabotage, it's our own people. Dude, what a weapon, it's so amazing.
yeah, and it does. I mean, I don't know. It seems the way his weasel words and the way Hoover's like, oh, I know it's just a suggestion and it might have happened, but it probably might not have happened. And
Right.
da da da. Where earlier they're saying, hey, if I could just if you could furnish a couple subjects, we could try this, and in a way that they're actually cause mayhem and death. And in a way to remove the legal accountability. So I would assume, I think, relatively speaking, 85% that he offered them the subjects. Okay, we got these submarine tests. Well, you can do it. Let's do three of these dudes on the submarine test because I mean, they're just young. We can throw away a couple hundred soldiers. And
Exactly.
these submarines, you know, they're just older models. They don't care about losing the submarine. And it's so within such a short period, 3 submarines killed during tests is one thing if someone's in battle and they start going nuts, you know, like, you know, Vietnam or something. Yeah, but they're not even in bed. This is just, they're not even at war yet. This is pre war, and they're doing tests, run of the mill routine tests, and the crew is sabotaging it, killing everyone on board. One of
And
the
it's
crew members.
pre-war, and it's showing the bad guys that the Axis or the Allied, whatever, the Allied powers have the power of mind-controlled soldiers. They will go against like in the old days. So like Hans was talking about how soldiers wouldn't shoot at each other, and they had to do all the mind control to make them shoot at each other. Now the level of mind control is such that they'll open up a hatch on a submarine. It's obviously like logic does not permit that to be done. If you want to maintain living, you aren't going to open a hatch on a submarine, but they will do that. It goes to prove like the level of their mind control. See, everybody, right before the war happened, it's an announcement. Look at our level of weaponry, right?
But also the
Just
implication is that you're going to die also. And they mentioned the guy grabbing the rattlesnake. So
right.
he'll die, right? So you're
Exactly.
doing something that's not only kill other people, but it's going to kill the person. And they
Harm
said that's
yourself, right?
quite possible to be done. And it appears, you know, probably we could, we could research these submarine accidents in a little more detail, but you know, one of them, there were survivors, but I
I
mean,
just did. There was one, the Thetis. They basically said the accident happened after the inner hatch on a torpedo tube was opened, while the outer hatch to the sea was also open. So that means that like they opened the torpedo hatch, and then somebody opened the one on the inside, which is crazy. Like you don't want them both open at the same time. Well, how did somebody make such an obvious mistake?
no, I mean, it's like, no, I mean, this is like basic, like you're not going to, like it's a hatch. It's you know what I mean. It's your airlock. I mean, you're just you know. It's like let's go ahead. Oh, there's water. There's ocean water. It's filled with ocean water. Oh, let me just open it up. Let's flood the submarine. Oops. You're not going to make that mistake. No way. It's not a mistake. You know, you can't make that mistake. I mean, it's yes, you can be insane, but I'm sure in
Right.
this you have to also at the time, right? I mean, now I could see it happening because people are so dumb. But back then, I mean, people were pretty intelligent. You know, they're you know, I mean, these are young soldiers. I'm
We'd
sure
like to
they're
think so, I guess.
you know, but I mean, you're underwater. I mean, this is like you're not going to just screw up like that because it's
Exactly.
terrifying. Who wants to drown in a submarine?
Right.
Not me.
It goes against all logic. And if they can make people act against logical understand like their own idea of maintaining their on life, like that's innate programming to everybody. That's instinct, you know. I'm not gonna drown myself on purpose, you know. Like that. So that just is a proof of the level of mind control. Like, look at, just like, you know, Full Metal Jacket is just like, you know, they were trying to get him, they were trying to get those people in boot camp to become killers, right? And the first part of the movie was one of them became a killer. The next part of the movie is the other one killed. Like, just like, you know, anyway, yeah. This,
Yeah, it's first to kill you.
this, how, what can we do to maintain, to change their minds into being a killer, you know, and for one, it took the abuse, and for the other one, it took compassion, but they're still end up killing, you know, they're all singing the Mickey Mouse Club song, you know. So they by the time the Vietnam was there, they had like mass mind control like down pat, you know.
Yeah, they
Um,
did. They had it.
Though it was
Probably
submarine.
guys like this figured it out. Esther Brooks, West, Erickson. How can we get these guys to change their personality, go through a behavioral change, and get them to pull the trigger? They probably knew what to dehumanization. I bet these guys studied all kinds of stuff that are in. That's the other thing about this document is like, what other secret documents are there that we don't know about that haven't
Good
been brought
point.
out? It's like,
Yeah, dude.
whoa, there's all kinds of stuff. Like this is an incredible document.
Yeah.
But I mean, also though, a submarine. You think about it, like even an airplane, you still have some chance of survival, right? I mean, you know, someone can crash land the airplane if you open up a hatch or whatever, right? A
I
submarine.
have a special treat for you. Wait for William Joseph Bryan. We'll do the airplane one.
Okay, but
You're
but
gonna blow your mind.
but really, I
Ties
mean,
right into this. It's incredible.
but like it's I mean, being in a submarine is a terrifying thing. I mean, you're in an enclosed space. You're basically in an underwater coffin. You're deep under the ocean. Just that is like, it's sorry. I
You're
mean,
starting to sound like me.
They
this is
even
like,
have small people fitting in there because it's so cramped, right? I
and
mean,
these are all early submarines, right?
yeah,
This is primal fear stuff, right? So to get someone to do that and then kill all of their buddies and themselves in a really horrific, absolutely terrifying way, it really does. I mean, this shows pretty. You're negating even basic survival instincts of the individual, even hardwired stuff. I mean,
right,
and I mean, how could it happen 3 times?
exactly.
You know what I mean? So
It
that
must be
shows.
Pre-war too. Pre-war.
Yeah,
That's probably why Esterbrooks figured it out, right? They just saw some weird anomaly, just a simple pattern recognition, right?
Yeah.
and they sunk their own ships. Like 9/11, we blew up our own buildings. Whatever, but it's not like it was an attack on others. It was an attack on us, and then we become the victim. Got all that victim power again.
10-7. 10-7's the same thing, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They killed, raped babies and beheaded them in ovens. These are all like
Dude.
trust the
And they,
science, safe and
yeah.
effective.
And then 2 years later, they're still burning little babies
Still
alive.
do, like by a factor of 1,000, right? Or
I
something.
mean, how
Of
could there
what's
still
supposed to
be
happen.
babies there left? Like, how? I mean,
Dude, it is
Jesus.
so sick. It's a holocaust. It's really like a
It is
modern
a
holocaust.
Holocaust.
It's so
Yeah.
gross.
Literal burning of
Yeah,
the
it's like,
sacrifice,
yeah,
burning in a Moloch fire, dude.
yeah. No, it's very sick. Very sick people.
Hey,
These are very, very sick people.
Right.
I don't know if you guys. I would just vote. Maybe we just hit the comments. I think it's a good.
All right,
Good
let's do it.
stopping
Good idea.
point.
Yeah, we got some really heavy, like we
That,
smashed it out of
that's
the park.
William, have you ever looked into Philip Arthur Thompson? I've never heard that name. Do you guys know Philip Arthur Thompson?
No.
No, somebody comment Uncle Ted. Uncle Ted, I hear you mentioned on other shows. I was listening to oh god, it was Austin Picard and Jose Galison. You were on, they mentioned you on one of their shows earlier. So it's a welcome back. Glad to have you.
That's great.
Johnny Sumatra, read Bentov Stalking the Wild Pendulum. There are various levels of consciousness: physical, body conscious, higher shared conscious. See Rupert Sheldrake. Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's different senses and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just a simple way to look at stuff. There's different consciousness states. And I've talked about that in past shows. People go into churches or sacred spaces or the wild for different consciousness things to either cleanse or whatever. David Chase's new TV series. Yes, we mentioned that. Have you all looked into what they were doing at TCU with radio waves and triggering MK Ultra from a distance? A little bit. We mentioned that, I think, in one of the series we talked about Helms trying to get kind of brain wave influence. Like that was one of the things he was doing after Dulles. So we talked a little bit, maybe not in great detail. Author of the scanner, is the author scanner Darkly? No, that's Philip.
That's Philip K. Dick, yeah, right.
Substance D. Yeah, remember talking that.
Let's see, the people were talking about the Old Testament. Thanks everybody for listening. We got up to 220 listeners.
Awesome.
So go check out everybody's websites. Resonant State, Wake the Dead. There was a guy on here. Sean has other shows that he's done other interviews. Same with I think they both interviewed the Kelly guy about drugs. So you can.
Yeah, Sam Kelly. That was a great show. That's a
what
great.
Are you doing with your tongue? I don't know. Is it coming through? Because I'm eating like a cough.
Yeah. That's what.
Can you hear? Can you guys hear that? Me chewing on my cough.
I thought you were eating dinner.
No, kind of.
I thought you were chewing ice.
Kind of was.
Yeah.
Kind of was.
Either way, it's all good. We heard everything you said. It's all good.
Well, I have to. I usually try not to eat. I mean, I'll drink stuff, but I try not to do things.
I always try to mute
it's okay with me
when I light my lighter.
Sirhan is, my understanding is people who were in the pantry with Sirhan is that he shot blanks. That's my understanding. There were tons of bullets in there.
I thought there were like 8 bullets that they pulled out.
Pulled out of the walls and
shoot
or something like that.
Right.
Man Behind the Sun for that Japanese unit stuff. Yeah, 731. I actually have a guest in the next couple of weeks about Unit 731.
Yeah, that is sick stuff. Holy crap. And if you look at what it is, that's like pure no morality, pure science, left brain, they will torture for science. It's oh my God. I'm
Yeah,
gonna look
Nathan
that up.
Reynolds.
Oh, Nathan's great. He's a real dude that cares.
Bell
Yeah.
bottoms. You guys are chatting amongst yourselves a lot about clothes and bell bottoms and stuff. I don't know.
Oh, on the chat, they were talking about bell bottoms.
Justin says, "Yeah, it's crazy. I know people who've known MK Ultra happen, yet they believe the government is their savior." Right? Crazy.
It's mind control. Statism is mind control, right?
Yeah, I think somebody like
What was the name of that book? The Japanese thing? I didn't write it down.
Hans was doing something weird with his tongue. Well, I missed it. I didn't notice it. Was it visual or audio? I don't know. Anyway,
I'm drinking.
I was eating freaking coughs.
I was doing anything with my tongue. Come on.
Y'all shouldn't be ashamed. Anyway,
any questions before we wrap it up, guys? Come on.
One question: what was the book about the Japanese 731? It was like two comments back.
I'll go back.
Thank you.
Man Behind the Sun. Is that a book? Is that Magister? Are you still there? I don't know if you're still watching, but is that a book? I've never heard of that book. I have heard of the book Rape of Nanking, which happened around there, which is supposed to be like one of the hardest books ever to read. It was just so freaking brutal. Anyway, thanks a lot for everybody for listening. And do you guys have anything else you guys like to closing statement or anything else you'd like to add?
Just everybody should visit WilliamRamseyInvestigates.com. And okay.
Y'all doing a massive service. Eat as many lozenges as you want. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have the wrappers to as a testament. I put down at least 10.
Don't let them get to you, William.
I don't. I've been called everything, guys.
That's
you
great.
can do whatever. I have skin that's like I always think of Andrew Jackson. They call him Old Hickory.
Oh yeah.
I'm a skin. I don't care.
Well, no, really, what we are doing a great service, and the fact that you're bringing it to our podcast, I'm so thankful that you're sharing this with Wake the Dead's audience. This is like really phenomenal, like just integral, and it's connecting everything, and it really means so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for partaking. Thanks for being part of it. I think they're all important. 13 episodes, and it kind of lays it out. Like this is like they are laying it out. These are like the guys people talk about Jolly West or these guys are way before that. They're way more sinister in a whirl because they're like the pre-intellects before West. And Esther Brooks has got his hand in a lot of different pots. He's like investigating New Age and Cyborg and like one of these early extra ESP people, and he's with the military. One of the things is like you got to get away.
And he's a Templar, Mason, whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Point. It's really important to see the broader angle, broader tapestry of our huge police, huge state, because it's not just the CIA. This guy's communicating with the FBI in great detail, and also with the military, which you'll see later on. He's already connected, I think, with naval intelligence, but I think that it'll be even more stuff as we get along. We still got a ways to go, but I mean, I think that this is like even more important. I was looking through, I bought a new book on mind control. I saw this guy on Joe Rogan. I haven't listened to it yet, but I bought this book, and they don't mention this document at all. Yeah, they don't mention this. They don't mention this document at all. This guy's it just shows like an academic. I don't want to say mean things about him, but I think he's an academic at University of Texas, but
just Operation Mind Control, Project Mind Control seems a little familiar.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, really.
Book, right?
It's kind of derivative. If you know the work of Hank Albarelli, it reads. It's like a mix of Albarelli's work and Kinzer's work. So it's kind of like I wouldn't call it like original. So,
but one thing just to keep in mind though too is that what Esther Brooks is talking about in his, big, warm, thoughtful, tender-hearted hug to humanity, right, is that, as Marshall McLuhan said in the late 40s, he said basically the media has become an extension of the human nervous system.
Yeah.
Right? So our nervous systems are now externalized into right? The media, so we can't even differentiate between what we're receiving from the media and our own internal experience. But what he's saying is that basically, and so this stuff was all new, right? We're just starting kind of the technological era by the 30s. I mean, it's much more, but it started in maybe 20s, maybe a little bit earlier, but it's really becoming a mass phenomena. He's saying human beings can't adjust to it. And so we basically got to kill most of the human beings because the unfit are reproducing. And so I mean, obviously, the level of nervous system stimulation we have now is like, millions of times higher than it was in the 30s, right? But this guy is saying, like, well, human beings are basically slated for, throw them in the scrap heap, or most of them, and we just can't let these subhuman morons reproduce. But also, we can't, he's saying technically, there may be some truth in this, is that human beings really were not designed to live in this externalized, media bombardment. And this is one of the issues they're having with, like, say, Neuralink or other types of things where they're trying to, upload consciousness or do the brain computer interface. Our brains, it's absolutely antagonistic to the human being. And they're trying to change children so they can actually be plugged into this system
Right. The
because it is
autism.
absolutely unnatural. But yeah, and then so this, and look, I mean, we can just look at autism rates. I mean, there you
Right.
go. And then, if you
It's
go
all
back,
intentional, guys. It's really one of the
Exactly.
darkest things.
and just that, like the Bateson thing, you're talking about, that the disease, right, in Malaysia or whatever, right, that creates, and people will literally
Right.
do things with, they see someone do something, whatever it is, they'll do it. So, and it's all this other stuff. There's they looking for biological agents that cause that. One of them being what I think they mentioned, insulin. Or it's stuff like that. So I'm
Right.
saying that some of this stuff, the MK Ultra, it looks like all they were doing is most of the work looks like it was done. A lot of all the foundational work appears to have been pretty much dialed in long before MK Ultra even started. Because imagine, we're not even in the wartime. What can you do in the wartime? Just go to
Right.
town, man.
Yeah.
You're already
Right.
sinking submarines,
Yeah.
in the pre-war. What are we gonna do when the war starts? And again,
Don't
that
remember scopolamine or sodium amytal too. They're juicing people from this article.
Right.
We did scopolamine at page 110.
yeah, and so that last thing is that Man Finds Tape movie, which anybody, it gets
I
pretty
tried
dumb.
watching it, dude. The second half was
It's
so
just
dumb. I
retarded.
stopped. I
You
had
just
to
turn it
stop.
off. But what's interesting is that the preacher guy is actually saying very intelligent things, right? Of course, he turns out to be the evil person. But what I thought was compelling about the beginning is where it shows what it is actually like, right? When people are being chloroformed and hypnotized, they don't remember. When you have a mass hypnotic trigger, you just blank out, you go, right? And of course, when you're blanking out like that, you don't even know you're blanking out, right? So
Right.
that's what the first half of that movie gave a real sense of what this would be like, in a certain way, like what kind of society we're living in. But like, it's hard to
Yeah.
think when you're being hypnotized. You go to your career counselor, Esther Brooks, your career counselor. I want to be a mechanic. Well, no, you're gonna be a program to kill assassin.
Yeah, in 3 months, I'm going to have you shooting people
You're
from
gonna
a
be
tower
you're gonna be in
at
the
the
Navy.
University of Texas.
Right. You're gonna be on this one boat pulling switch A, right?
Yeah, exactly. Your name will be Johnny Walker. And yeah.
But that
Gerald,
show, like when they watched the show, when they were watching footage of everybody going to sleep, then they fell asleep again because the screen was re-triggering what happened the first time. That show is really, that movie. Just watch the first half. The second half is dumb, but yeah, that movie.
Second half is god awful.
Yeah,
But I think no, it's retarded. I mean, it's just they destroyed the movie, right?
right.
It's no point why. But I
But it
think
was a
that's
good
almost
thing in the
it's
beginning.
deliberate.
It was a good like a vehicle for those ideas of the hypnosis and the whole idea of mass hypnosis and what you're saying there. It's a good vehicle for those ideas.
Yeah,
Gerald,
yeah.
hold on. Gerald Hall says, what was that speech that Dulles gave at Yale or some college where he explained the MK Ultra research was made for collective effects and not individual? It's called his brain warfare speech, and it was given in Virginia a week before they rubber stamped MK Ultra. You can read about it. You can find it online. I actually read it into my podcast. You can just type in brain warfare on your favorite thing because I read the whole thing. But he says collective and individual things. So.
God bless you, William, for knowing.
Yeah, God
all
bless
that
you
stuff.
guys. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other comments? Any other questions out there? Let's see. There's a better way to get the best study. What movie? I think Man in this. Oh, what was the name of that movie you guys were talking about?
Man finds tape.
Oh yeah, it's
You mentioned it last time.
I mean,
good.
yeah, just don't pay for it, and don't. I mean,
Yeah.
just
We're
stop.
not endorsing it. It's not good.
But just to show this is also how sort of hypnotic or valencing, right? So when you have the preacher, he's almost sounds like Russ Dizdar, right?
Yeah.
Almost, but then he turns out to be the guy behind all the evil mind control stuff. So
Of
there's
course.
the valencing, right? So
Right.
you have the good information. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I'm getting.
Okay.
I'm
All right,
getting
guys.
scolded,
Peace.
so.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time. We still have a ways to go, but we're going to get there. We can
Awesome.
probably do 50 episodes.
I hope so. That'd be great.
All right, guys. Peace.
Awesome.
God bless.
Sweet.
Cheers.
Thank you, guys.